In the US, Direct Relief is delivering protective masks along with exam gloves, isolation gowns, and other protective gear to healthcare organizations across the country. Direct Relief is also staging personal protective equipment with regional response agencies across the world, including in the Caribbean and South America, through the Pan American Health Organization. So that's why we're here raising money. I'm sure you've all been... There's no way you guys don't know about what's going on. We're all locked inside because of this. We're helping to raise money so that Direct Relief can go out and make as big of an impact as possible. Every single penny you put forward helps push what they can do just a couple inches more. Just a couple more people that can help. I really don't know what else to say on that one. So I just want you all to know that's what your money is going towards. That's what you've all been helping with this weekend, and that's what we're going to continue to help with for the last few hours of the night. So without further ado, let's throw it to dangers. Let's conclude that run.
Favorite Odyssey memories.
Hello, hello.
Favorite Odyssey memories.
Hello, hello.
Hello. Are you ready?
You bet I am.
Fantastic.
What's going on at Calithon? Hope you guys are having a good night. I realize for a lot of the Americas, it is very late at night now. So I'm very happy that you could join us for the end of this very, very cool marathon stream. Supporting money, or raising money rather, for the support of this COVID-19 thing that's happening right now. Very cool stuff. Online marathons are booming. Make sure that you get those donations in. I want to see some nips at the end of this run. I don't know about you guys.
They better.
What about you, Kerbis? Do you want to see some nips?
Always.
Always. Excellent. Excellent. All right.
Actually stole my line.
All right. So whether we see the nips or not, we're going to start with Darker Side. And Darker Side is a category. I mean, it's a name of a category that you're not going to say, oh, by the way. Sorry, I didn't count us down. It's been a while since I've done this whole marathon thing.
Got to keep people on their toes.
That's right. Surprise attack. So Darker Side is, if you've played Super Mario Odyssey before, you know exactly what it's all about. Essentially, there's a kingdom in this game. It's called the Darker Side. You go to the dark side, you go to the darker side afterwards. And it's kind of like every Mario game in the last like 15, 20 years has had like a, you've beat the game, but wait, there's more. And Darker Side is the more. And Darker Side is like supposed to be the hardest level that the game has to offer for you. So the goal of this is to get to the Darker Side, which you need 500 moons to do. And then...
out of the 880 total available.
True, there is a lot. And yeah, get your booty over to the darker side and then beat the darker side. And that is the goal. So the first thing you're going to notice as soon as I start playing this game is that I'm rolling everywhere. And rolling is the fastest way to move around in this game. And you see the yellow sparks flying out, and that actually is coming from me doing a motion control input. So you can actually roll without those. But if you want to go fastest, you actually have to use your motion control inputs to basically make Mario dash forward faster. So a lot of shaking the controller, which I'm really unfortunate, like really sad that you guys don't get to see that. It's very fun.
It's the secret they've been hiding from us for 30 years. You just have to shake your controller to turn Mario into Sonic.
It's true.
That's how you get Sonic in Melee. Oh,
Yeah, exactly.
So cute little trick there. It's been known for a while. Basically what we call left side. The cap tower has a little nice dandy little ramp that you can climb up on the right side, but by doing a series of jumps, you can just kind of skip that. Saves about
It's
2
kind of a funny thing because it's like literally one of the hardest jumps you can do in a speedrun for this game. And it's like the first thing that people see when they're trying to learn the game. So it's just like, I want to do that.
Yep.
They don't realize how hard it is.
And it saves so little too, it's really not even worth it.
Yeah, it's like 2 seconds.
got a moment for a couple quick donations?
Yeah, you bet.
We got $5 from Remnant, just says Hype Train. We got $50 from Aiden of Pastaville, says let's get those nips. Amazing job to all the runners. And we've got another $50 from Devoid Zero with no message, but they have all put their money towards unlocking that bonus run,
The nips. Do it for the nips.
which is currently at $850. So we are at $400 left.
That's
with
easy.
just over an hour.
Easy clap. All right, so Now, if you've played this game before, we got our first Power Moon, and Cappy's going to introduce us to the Odyssey. Well, I'm going to attempt to do something to just kind of skip that cutscene. This is what we call Dino Skip Skip, which is just, you know, wonderful naming sequence of... We're really good at naming things in the Odyssey community, all right?
Hey, you know how I said that left side jump was hard? This one's harder.
Yeah, this one is harder. I'll attempt it again. Oh, boy. So, basically what's happening here is I'm trying to smash my face into this rock wall in just the right spot so that I actually hit a piece of floor that exists there.
Yeah, it definitely can't be understated how tough this jump is. It's very, very tight.
It's just that one little pixel on the wall that you can stand on. Like, obviously he jumped right away because we're trying to move fast, but you can just kind of stand there indefinitely. Just counts as floor for some reason.
Right. Now, if you get that on the first try, you actually save about 9 seconds. It is faster to even back it up on a second try than it is to watch the cutscene, so... when it was discovered, it kind of changed a lot of things for us. It's doable in every category, which is pretty crazy. But, yeah, it's another one of those things that's like, oh, wow, this is the first 3 minutes of Super Mario Odyssey, and I've witnessed 2 trick jumps, essentially. And if I want to start speedrunning this game, I have to do those, don't I? No, not really.
Yeah, that one saves a little more time than left side, but it's still
Yeah, you wouldn't see
only
it
worth
there,
it at the
right?
really high level.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like the top 5 or so.
You guys got a quick second?
You bet.
We got a couple donations. One from Lingomaniac88 donates $50 and says overalls are overrated. And then a big 500 from Pokey W with no message, but that completes Nipple percent. We are there. And also, just, you know, for the sake of mentioning it, they did put it towards Save the Animals, so retroactively they did win now.
Hey, there you
But
go.
yeah.
Isn't
So we're
that
there.
amazing?
And it also puts us at nearly $8,300 in total.
Isn't that amazing?
Isn't that amazing? We get to see the good red man's bare chest.
This is exactly what I signed up for.
It's all I've ever wanted, really.
Oh my gosh, okay. So I actually think that it's easier to get the chest clip than it is to get out of this little nook, so that's why I'm having difficulties. But
Yeah.
what I tried to do is... there's a really cool mechanic in this game called moon clips. And what you can do is basically as a moon is spawning in, you can't really collect it right away. So in the time that we're waiting for the moon to be collectible, we do a backflip and we cap throw at exactly the right time. And that can sometimes nudge us through walls. I tried to do it there. I tried to slip through the ceiling, but my timing was just a little bit off. So I had to come out of the alcove regularly. But that's not the first time that you're going, or not the only time, rather, that you're going to see moon clips. So plenty of opportunities up ahead. Lots of fun ones, for sure.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about that wall. When you try to wall jump off of it, it just, like, eats your inputs so often.
And perusing right along to Sand Kingdom. I think Sand Kingdom is probably my favorite kingdom in this entire speedrun. Just not only the first visit, but also the second one. I think it's just one of the niftiest kingdoms to grab moons in. Even with
I would agree with that.
the trick that I'm going to try and attempt here. Still.
Oh yeah, you know those really 2 hard jumps that I just did? There's something even harder in this kingdom.
I just can't give myself a break.
But then I promise it gets a little easier.
So, you know, nothing too special. This is the first kingdom that kind of opens itself up to, like, grabbing power moons, which, if you haven't noticed, they're in abundance in this game. They're everywhere. So each kingdom has a set requirement for you to gather power moons before you can leave. So even if we were to complete the story, that isn't enough moons to leave the kingdom. So we have to kind of go about getting some along the way. So that's why we're just kind of picking them up as we go. This is Darker Sides, though, so we will be revisiting all of these kingdoms. So we might actually kind of cap over. I think this kingdom needs 16 to leave, and we get quite a bit more than that. This is a strategy called Dramstrat, which is, you know, another point to the Super Mario Odyssey community for naming things well.
Alright, so what Danger's gonna try here is like the newest hard trick that was discovered for this game. Normally we would clip through the door of the pyramid using a roll cancel clip, but someone found out that you can kind of clip through this corner here and make it to the top of the pyramid without ever going through it. And for Dark Side, it saves somewhere around 20 seconds.
Yeah, but it's
But
not the easiest.
It's really precise, and there's not really a good way to set it up to make it consistent.
Not yet, anyway.
Yeah. It's still very new, so it's kind of being worked on. But Danger's got it probably in a
Yeah,
short
let's
enough
get
time
some
that it
second
saves
time.
time.
Certainly, yeah. Probably only about like 5 to 10, but still a time save for sure. Makes up for my
Definitely cool to Go
my
on.
Cascade Kingdom for sure.
Yeah, like that was really fast. Like that, we can't really overstate how hard or how precise
That was
that
so
clip
solid.
is.
Basically, what the reason that trick works is something called ledge clips, and I don't know if you've ever speedrun this game, you might have encountered ledge clips by accident, but essentially all of the walls and where they connect to other walls and where they connect to floors and stuff in this game are not very perfect. Like everywhere where a wall and a corner like basically comes to a corner, there is a tiny little crease of like probably 1 pixel. We don't know for sure, but if you dive Mario at exactly the corner, then you can just slip through it. And it actually happens in a lot of places. There's a very famous clip in the Lake Kingdom that we don't do in this speedrun, but it does exist, called the Lake Clip that utilizes the same kind of mechanics. And yeah, and using that, we were able to just kind of skip over having to do the entire interior of that pyramid. So now,
I've got a couple donations if you got a minute.
yeah, for sure.
We've got $4.20. Oh, it's the epic number, dude. From Yason, who says, Bieber shout Yason Big Frog.
Perfect. Yeah, that probably only makes sense to me and maybe some Super Mario Odyssey community
Definitely
members.
doesn't make sense to me, so. $5 from Turnt says, Curb Go Chomp.
He do go chomp.
And
Yes.
$20.01 from Nifty Cent says another 10 if we can get a chomp.
God, this
I'm
is
gonna
gonna be a
assume
thing.
that counts.
That's
Oh
the
man.
chomp. That's the famous chomp. So a little known fact about these slots is that the first icon that appears is completely random, so I actually got really lucky. Just kidding. It's always a power move. All right, so I think something important to mention is that, you might be thinking, okay, so you need 500 power moons, and it's also pretty well known that a lot of the fastest moons in this game are the Moonrock ones. So why don't you just do like any percent until you get to the end? Well, we don't do that because the Moonrocks don't open themselves up until we've completed the story. So we actually have to go through these kingdoms and complete the story before the Moonrock becomes available to us, which is why we're taking the liberties to beat all the bosses along the way. There's only one kingdom we won't achieve what's called World Peace until we actually get to the post-game, and that's just for routing purposes, but essentially...
with the IP skip route, it's so bizarre to me seeing that moon at nighttime.
And this one,
Yeah.
too, even. Like, going into the Sphinx room at night is really weird. And
I don't think I've actually done it since this route changed, so it's very odd to me.
like, the Shifting Sand Moon especially, I wouldn't have expected that it would be dark in there, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like it's already an enclosed area, but it looks darker still. It's kind of funny.
So yeah, just getting a couple of moons on our way. Like I said, that's kind of what we do. Mostly for the requirement. This kingdom does collect quite a few more than we actually need to leave, but the minimum
Sand
requirement-
Kingdom I think has like the most moons out of any kingdom.
Yes.
So you generally just wind up getting a lot here, a lot more than is required. A lot of them are pretty fast too. Like Sand doesn't have that many slow moons.
No, it's true.
That's the best.
That's why I love it. Yeah, it feels fast.
Like Metro's really big, but a lot of the moons there are sub areas, which tend to be kind of slow.
Neat little jump to catch the chain, or sorry, not the chain chomp, the bullet bill here. Another reason I like Sand Kingdom is because it has probably one of the fastest captures, which is the bullet bill. and you can do a lot of really nifty stuff, like you saw me do the capture warp strategy at the beginning to get the moon in the alcove and then zip all the way back up. And then just like knocking the visors off these guys and hanging out in the air. It's just something you can do to kind of make this kingdom really flashy. And another one there too. Now this is Knucklotech. All the bosses in this game are pretty linear. Like there's not a whole lot you can do to speed them up. The Brutals, actually, the little bunny guys, the mini bosses in between, they all have some sort of like sequence break mechanic where you like jump on their head earlier than normal or something like that. The main bosses, though, typically don't, but there is still usually like some hidden kind of thing that can make it go faster for whatever reason. And in this case, rolling between his fists actually saves like 2 seconds off this fight. Otherwise, we're just kind of going through the motions.
Yeah, it's like the quicker you can get the fist behind you, the quicker he'll start to move back towards the center of the arena.
That's right.
Got another quick donation, if that's cool.
Yeah.
Here's $100 from Alexa May. That IP skip was so amazing, I just had to donate. Good luck, Dangers.
Thanks, May. Yeah, it's interesting. The difficulty curve of Super Mario Odyssey definitely like compounds in the beginning, and it's so ridiculously apparent. Like even before we found IP skip and even before we found Dino skip, we were basically like, yeah, you know, the first hour of this run is probably the hardest. Like you have to do all these roll cancel clips, and you have to, you know, basically keep up precise movement that the any percent runners have made so perfect, and it just keeps getting harder and harder every time we find something new.
Yeah, and it's not even a case of just like people fixating on the early game, I don't think. Like legitimately just like the early stuff is harder to do.
Because a lot of it is like sequence breaking, right? So in order to sequence break, you usually have to break the game somehow. So in order to break the game, you have to do some sort of fancy trick that puts your entire run in danger. All right, so before I leave Sand Kingdom, I just have to talk to this lad over here. I don't know if you noticed when we got that luggage moon, but that taxi was stuck in the ice. So he was having a hard time, but now that he's free, he can give one of these Toasteranian guys a little tour around the world, but he won't start on his little adventure until we talk to him. So just by going down there, giving a little hey-yo, he's going to go on a little trip, and he will give us power moons on every stop of his trip, so it was important that we took care of that now.
And he's got a very strict itinerary. He will go to a very specific kingdom, and he won't leave until you talk to him there.
Exactly. So it's also important that I remember to get him in the upcoming kingdoms as well, or else I miss out on like 5 power moons.
So another slightly weird thing, going to Wooded Kingdom before Lake Kingdom, the game gives you a choice at this point of the game. Whichever one you pick first, you'll just go to the other one after. But this one has like a kind of small impact where it just like disrupts the order of the kingdoms you'll visit later and allows us to get to check a hint art and get a moon from that hint art faster.
That's right.
So it's like this really convoluted thing that saves like 3 seconds.
Yeah. The explanation takes longer than it takes to actually get to the point of the run where, you know, the time save actually starts happening.
Exactly.
Which is kind of just an interesting, you know, thing to point out about it. But it does save time, and this category, it gets to the end of the game. It gets to the Moon Kingdom, it defeats Bowser, but then it takes a little revisit to all the other kingdoms in the game again. It redoes all of them, except for 2 that are really kind of small and slow. So the first visit to each kingdom is really important for setting everything up, which is why we, you know, pick certain kingdoms first, and it's why we talk to NPCs and all that. It's basically all just setting ourselves up for later, because when we get to the post-game, we're collecting moons at a rate of 1 moon every 20 seconds, and if it's slower than that, then it doesn't get included in the rev. That's why I think that this category is probably just, like, objectively the best one, is because not only do you beat the main game, but then you just go through, like, this flurry of the 500 fastest moons afterwards, and it's, it feels so fast.
The post game, the rate of collection is even faster because like it's 20 seconds over the course of the entire run. Like you get a moon every 20 seconds.
That's right.
But all of the like cutscenes and long story stuff takes place in like the first hour and a half. So the second half of the run is just like crazy fast.
This is what's known as the Deep Woods, this place that I'm just leaving now. A lot of people just discover this place by accident because they either fall in or they don't realize that it's down there and have to like figure it out for themselves where like 6 of their power moons are. But we just kind of get that out of the way. There are a couple that are really fast before we continue Wooded Kingdom. And Wooded Kingdom is actually the kingdom we were talking about world peace earlier. We're talking about completing the story. Wooded Kingdom is the one that we're actually going to leave for later. I'll kind of explain that in a second. I think I might have missed this. We'll see. Oh no, we're good. So that's one of those moon clips that I was talking about. Using the spawn of that moon kind of changes the phase of the game, and it puts Mario in a weird position where he doesn't have collision with walls and stuff. When you combine that with putting Mario in a weird position by doing a backflip and then a cap throw right away, you can just kind of clip through walls. And in that instance, I used it to skip pulling a lever. In another category, any percent or dark side, you can actually use it to skip like to the top of the kingdom, essentially. Get 2 different moons that you usually can't and save almost 30. So when that trick was discovered, it really did change Odyssey for quite a few reasons, to say the least. All right, we have some time for a couple of donations if you want.
Yeah, I do have a few. We got Nifty Cent following up with $10.80. It just says, thank you, Kirbycio.
Nice. Yeah.
And $50 from Natsu978 says, missed out on the nips, but still here for the Mario flips. Great event, all. You actually haven't missed it. We are still going to be doing it at the end of this run, so don't worry.
That's right. Follow it up with the nips. I was thinking about making the incentive like somehow incorporate the boxers into this regular run, but I realized that would probably involve a lot of like complicated routing. I'd have to get a lot of coins out of nowhere. So
Yeah.
I had thought about asking you that, but then I realized that would probably screw up the route a whole lot.
Yeah, it does.
It's doable, but also like not only do you have to get the extra coins really early, but Mario, there's a couple points in the games where he automatically switches to a different outfit. So you would have to constantly be kind of
Going
switching
to
back.
a closet, yeah.
Yeah.
So this is Spewart. This is, like I said, one of the mini bosses. And the sequence break here is that when he gets in his hat here, he kind of like starts dashing around the arena, but because we're right up in his face, we can just stomp on him.
Leaving a trail of slime, poison, whatever it is behind him.
Poisonous goop that you never actually really see.
It's like the same goop that was hanging around the big piranha plant earlier.
But he's no match for us. Now that we've got this multi-moon, the game kind of like tries to transition you into, oh no, well now you have to go to the top of the kingdom and you need to defeat the evil robot that's stealing all the flowers. But we're just going to leave them hanging.
Maybe later.
Maybe later.
So I think it's important to talk about the lore of Super Mario Odyssey. So the thing that's going on in this game is Bowser's going around to all of these different kingdoms and stealing something that he's going to use for his royal wedding with Peach, who he definitely did not kidnap and force to participate.
This is not, you know, the Mushroom Kingdom version of a shotgun wedding. Absolutely not. This is completely consensual. Yes.
So in the Sand Kingdom, he was stealing a ring. It was a giant ring, which is it's like bigger than Peach, so I'm not sure how that works, but he was stealing that, and then, yeah, in Wooded, he's taking the flowers.
I think the ring is funny because doesn't he even use it at the end of the game as like to hold her?
Yeah, they're like fighting over it or something.
Yeah, in the cutscene when you fall down, he's got her like clamped in it or something.
Now, Lake Kingdom probably has like, the most boring of the first visits. You kind of just gather enough moons to get, and then you leave. Not really a whole lot going on here, so absolutely. the right time to
You,
talk about
you need
lore.
8 moons, and there's only like 20 available here, so it's like
Yeah,
there's not many options.
exactly. But it is a small kingdom, and when you open up the moon rock later, it's, you know, because it's so tightly compact, it's also one of like the fastest ones. It also is probably, in my opinion, some of the coolest sub areas in this game. I don't think
Yeah.
we've been in a sub area yet, but they think like Super Mario Sunshine, and how some of the levels were like the secret levels where they took away Flood and you had to like traverse them with Mario and had the groovy kind of like lounge music going on. That's the sub areas in this game are kind of like that without the groovy music. I mean, some of the music is kind of bopping. Let's not lie. You got
Yeah,
like
the one sub-area song is the best song in the game.
yeah, you can't even deny that. But each one of those has 2 moons in it, so there are a couple of really fast sub areas that we'll be going into later that, you know, kind
Yeah,
of
it's just like the game's excuse to put you in a foreign, like, platforming challenge that makes no sense with the aesthetic of the rest of the game, but they just wanted to add in,
exactly.
which is great. And yeah,
little
in Light
puzzle
Kingdom,
challenges
Bowser
and
was
stuff.
stealing a dress for the wedding.
I don't remember. Does the dress return in post game? I think it does, right? The ring
think
does
so,
for
yeah.
sure. So probably the dress does too.
I don't remember.
I'm pretty sure it does.
I would assume it does.
All right. So we only collected 7 moons. There's one more kind of on the beach over here, but I'm going to introduce you guys to hint arts first. So I actually had to stop and look at that little picture on the wall before I could leave this kingdom. And the reason is that there are moons scattered around the world that are discoverable only through these pictures. And you have to look at the picture to give you a hint as to where the moon is. But we can't just remember them. That would be too easy. I mean, we obviously know where they are, but the game kind of locks them behind looking at the picture first. So I have to go and physically look at it before that moon spawns into the world. So that's what I had to do. And then, yeah, that's Lake Kingdom. And on to Metro, right, guys?
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's definitely not a conspicuously placed palm tree-shaped island in
that we're
between
just
here and
skipping
there.
over. Yeah, nope, definitely not. Maybe we'll come back. Who knows?
Oh, is that the darker side?
The darker side of the ocean is actually what it's called. Nope, surprise, surprise. Bowser decides to stop us in the middle of the sky, which is, you know, very, very classic Bowser.
Bowser's airship looks so cool in this game.
Big agree there. So this fight obviously doesn't look the way that it's supposed to. We hold on, Strab Manip. No, I missed it. Dang it. Okay, sorry. I had to do it. It's how the trick works. Anyways, if you get right up in Bowser's face and you just kind of backflip right in front of the hat that he's supposed to throw at you, you can kind of avoid having to chase it down, and then you're also in prime position to just start punching him right away. So that's how we make these fights really fast. And then Bowser gets angry at us, and so he breaks our airship, and he sends it hurtling to Earth.
And you can see the ring and the flowers that he stole on the ship.
Yeah, it's all about the story, dude.
And was Peach wearing the dress? She probably was.
She was.
I'm feeling very invested right now in the lore. Thank you.
Follow that
But I
story.
feel like it gets overlooked. It's important. Everyone knows the most important thing about Mario games is the lore and the story.
They are very captivating and especially unique. Oh boy. Oh no. Well, there was no wall jump there. That's cool.
Yeah, the walls in they're like curved, so if you just touch the wrong part of the wall, you can't at the wrong angle too, you just can't do anything.
Let's try that again. Round 2. So, you know, jumping off this tree is cool and all, but it actually serves a purpose beyond just kind of getting to this higher part of the kingdom. There's a bird in Lost Kingdom called Klepto, and he steals Cappy if you roll into his kind of loading zone. And by jumping up this side of the kingdom, we kind of avoid him entirely, which is great because we don't really want Cappy to get stolen. It's really slow. Cappy's very useful. Oh boy, what am I doing?
I'm sad to report that lore-wise, there's nothing that Bowser steals from this kingdom. This just happens to be where Mario lands after his fight with Bowser, because another thing you don't see is after the fight in that cutscene, Bowser kind of just destroys the Odyssey and it falls down.
I actually don't know what I'm doing now. I've kind of messed up my backup here.
Probably just
probably-
best to walk back up.
Probably just warp, yeah.
Grabbing that checkpoint is super useful because it's just like at the very peak of the kingdom and you can get anywhere super fast by warping to it,
That's right.
which I'm supposed to use later, but comes in handy now at least.
In case you need to do a little backup, yeah. We actually use it quite a bit in this kingdom for the reason that Kerbis said. Is just like, we're going to be dying on purpose a couple times here. And when you die, you go back to the last checkpoint you were at. So having it at the top is kind of a good vantage point, you could say.
Yeah, if you are directly next to a place where you can die immediately, like falling into this poison, it's faster than opening the menu and selecting the checkpoint you want to warp to and then actually warping there. Like the animations and all that take longer, so it's just faster to die. And the only thing that happens when you die in this game is you lose 10 coins, so really not punishing.
Pretty forgiving stuff for sure.
Dangerous does need coins, but not very many. He needs 1,000 total throughout the whole run, which is pretty easy to get.
Yeah, and I don't even really need the 1,000 to spend on anything specifically. I just need, I think it's like 800 that I need for shot moons and stuff. But there is a Toadette achievement tied to having 1,000 coins. So I guess we can talk about Toadette achievements as well.
Yeah, it's something that's really baked into the route of Darker Side. At the end of the game, when you get to the Mushroom Kingdom, Toadette is in Peach's castle, and she'll give you a moon for different things you can accomplish, like collecting a certain amount of coins, like jumping a certain number of times, like buying a certain number of outfits, collecting a certain number of ground pound moons, just all kinds of stuff. There's like 60 of them. Darker Side gets 31 achievement moons.
Yeah. Yes.
And like sometimes you might see a moon, if you're like really paying close attention, it looks kind of slow. A good example is like the slots moons, I think, are kind of slow on their own, but because collecting an achievement moon only costs like 7 seconds or something, it's way faster than that like 20-second average. So if you can get a moon that allows you to get an achievement also, it can sometimes make a otherwise slow moon fast enough.
That's right. 4 for the price of 3, kind of, in some situations. I think the fishing also fits into that as well, even though the fishing itself is
fishing
fast.
by itself is fast if you get first bite.
I
that's
just
like-
want to say, since you glossed over it, that moon right there was actually harder than it looked.
Yeah.
we kind of
Someone
rambled on
mentioned
about
it.
Toadette, but it is true that moon in the alcove I definitely did not get the way you're supposed to.
Yeah, that moon most people don't even bother to try to do because it doesn't save that much time in Darker Side, but yeah, that's a nice trick. It's pretty hard.
Yeah.
Not as hard as the like other things at the beginning of the game, but
Yeah, that
pretty
IP
hard.
skip is definitely something else. But there's a lot of tricks in this game that involve like leaving Cappy somewhere and then doing something else and then using Cappy to warp back to where you were before. And that is another situation of it. It's what we call Dram strats, even though not everything. Dram is a complicated situation. Don't talk to Dram.
Capture
55
warp
about
is
it.
the more technical term, but we roll with it.
Yeah.
There was a time when it was the trickiest thing in the route. Those were simpler times.
Yeah, for sure.
Before we started skipping the dino and its respective skip.
That capture warp saves a lot more time in like all moons and stuff, because normally what you're supposed to do to get that moon is take one of the tropical wigglers, which are all the way on the other side of the kingdom, and bring it around, and those boys can stretch around the corner and grab the key.
Yeah. And
So it saves a lot of time. It saves like 30 seconds or something.
yeah,
in
bringing a
those
wiggler
situations.
all the way over there obviously takes a lot of time. So, and in all moons you have no choice but to get all of them, right? Whereas in Darker Side, if you don't want to do that, you can lose 2 seconds by swapping it out for something else.
Yeah. All right, so lore time again. In Metro Kingdom, Bowser is stealing power.
I think that's honestly all
Yes,
it is.
he charges his airship or whatever.
Yeah, it's to make it somewhere probably really far away, right?
It might be. Probably just to that secret spot in the ocean we were talking about earlier.
So I'm not sure how the Wiggler plays into this. Like the Wiggler might just be chilling there just to like be the bully.
I believe it's a conduit, but I'm not sure.
I mean, he is like a mechanical Wiggler, so maybe. I think it's funny how he's just like at the top of the tallest building, like King Kong or something.
Basically, yeah. I suppose it's something like that. How much did Bowser have to pay for all this ad space? You know, he probably just abducted the city and didn't pay for it, if I had to guess. You know, I suppose he did steal two things. He stole power, and he also stole, you know, sick promotional, free advertising, essentially.
There you go.
You know, Bowser's a flashy guy. He's not just going to have some sort of, like, you know, steal away wedding in the Bahamas and, you know, just elope with just him and Princess Peach. No, it's got to be a grand fiasco.
That was probably the primary reason for coming to Metro Kingdom, if we're being honest. Just the, you know, I'm assuming a very heavy population to just advertise his wedding.
Exactly.
Get everyone to show up.
So we did kind of glaze over that Mecha Wiggler, but that fight, like I said, all the boss fights are pretty linear in this game. This boss actually does have a small element of RNG. In the second phase, he can run along the wall in a number of different patterns, and depending on which pattern you get, you can usually finish him off a little bit easier than others. But 2-cycle is optimal. You don't really want to waste any more time. It's about 20 seconds to have to finish it off in another cycle. But yeah, it brightens up the city afterwards, and no more Wiggler. And you would think, well, if what you're trying to accomplish is world peace, you just beat the boss. You can leave now, right? Not quite. For some reason, world peace in this kingdom also has more to it. Pauline wants to make sure that you are properly celebrated, and as a result, wants to throw a festival in your honor. But in order to do that, she needs a band, and she needs the power back. So we actually have to gather all of the materials for our own festival before we leave, which is really annoying. But
And while not strictly required, it's my personal opinion that talking to your bench friend is part of achieving peace in Metro Kingdom.
I mean, true, maybe. Tell that to the world peace runners, though.
Well, I have some beef with them.
All right.
So yeah, Bowser's no longer siphoning power from the Metro Kingdom, but he's going to get the band together, and then there's going to be still a problem with the power that he's going to resolve before they can have their grand festival.
Yeah, you guys thought we were done with the icky paint-like goop. Nope, not quite. We still got a little bit more throughout this game.
Got a second?
Yeah, you bet.
Aiden of Pastaville once again, and that is how it's written.
Yeah.
Donated $5, saying $5 dono train? I think it's time.
Oh, okay.
I think it's time too. In fact, you know what? I'm going to add on to the train.
Oh, there you go. Let's get it going. So yeah, this initial part of Daytime Metro, this is what we're doing. We're just kind of going around. You'll notice that I'm like planting seeds in pots, talking to all these bandmates. Like all of this is intentional. Like I said, a lot of the early game is setting ourselves up for the future. So those seed pots actually take 20 real-time minutes to grow. So by planting them in the pots now, by the time we return to Metro Kingdom, they'll be fully grown moons. And there are...
Generally between like the first and second visit of a kingdom, there's at least an hour that passes.
Yeah. Here's another one of those hint arts that we were talking about in Lake Kingdom. And the last of our bandmates here, this trumpeter. I don't know how he got up here, but...
He, you know, guys who play the trumpet, they're wild cards.
Yeah, you can never trust him.
And I like that hint art personally because it features Poochie.
Poochie's a lad.
Very underrated Mario Universe character.
So now that we've got our band together, Pauline tells us that her sewers are all gunked up. So we got to go clean that up. There's some pesky piranha plants in there causing some trouble. You know, all of this for a festival in our own honor. I don't get it. Mario has to do everything, you know what I mean?
There is another clip that's possible that you can skip this room that Danger's is doing right now, but that's something that also saves a very small amount of time and is incredibly precise, so not quite something that people have cared to work into Darker Side yet.
Yeah, it saves a lot less time in this category than it does in other ones as well, so...
And I think it should say something if you don't do it after everything else you've done thus far.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, sewer clip is one of those ones.
Got a quick question from some people in chat.
Sure.
Why do they call it Darker Side when you darken the cold moons, dark, hot, get more moons?
Oh, right. Yeah, about that. You know,
Listen, you got to be careful asking questions like that.
I don't think you want to know the answer. You know, for the longest time...
Maybe if you guys donate a lot more money, we'll tell you.
Hey, 10,000 is like right around the
10K,
corner.
will you tell us?
Yeah, you know, it's a well-kept secret, but I think for 10K, we could probably make it happen.
We did just get a couple steps closer, if you got a second.
Sure.
So there's that $5 from myself. Choo choo, hop on the 10K dono train. $5 from Kumo Train says the $5 train has no brakes, toot toot. And $50 from May saying, I heard something about a 5 in a donation train. And you know what? I'll take it. We'll take that in stride.
Hey, you might have multiplied by 10, May, but thank you.
Yeah, I hope everybody enjoys the festival, because I sure don't.
Yeah, how
No,
can
I
you
enjoy
have
it
such a
now. I
cheery-
enjoy it when I'm not playing it. I only
it's
hate it when
something-
I'm playing the game.
It's something a lot of people say is their favorite part of the game, but when you run it, it's just kind of, yeah. It's just like 3 minutes of just walking in 2D.
Well, you're not wrong. It definitely, like, for me, it has a little bit of a throwback to when I did, like, 2D Mario speedruns. And optimizing this section is a little bit trickier than it looks. You know, you're on all these barrels are on a cycle, so if you do manage to pull it off and you don't take any damage, and you, especially this part where you kind of just like weasel your way through all of these barrels coming towards you, it's definitely satisfying to get.
And just knowing how 2D Mario works is like playing a whole different game.
Totally.
Just like the momentum of everything is completely different than when you're in like the main areas. Oh yeah, this is like the moment of the game that anyone who like played it as a kid is just gonna remember forever.
Yeah, definitely. Especially when you watch the cutscenes and everything, it like leads really well into the whole experience of it for sure. Oh, little bonk there. So this is another kingdom where we're not quite done yet. You see, we have 19 out of 20 moons. We actually need one. And it just so happens this is the first stop of our little tourist boy. And like I said before...
He made it for the festival.
He made it for the festival, yeah. He showed up. And only because we talked to him. He would have missed it if we didn't tell him about it. So, pat on the back for us. But this is his first stop. And like we mentioned before, if we don't talk to him here, he won't show up in his next location. So we leave that for the very end of this kingdom. He actually doesn't appear until the festival's finished anyways. And then we go on. We continue on to the next kingdom. And we approach the game calls it a proverbial fork in the road.
When it's a literal fork in the road.
Yeah. It's actually a fork in the road. This one doesn't matter, though. The other fork in the road changes it so that wooded comes first later on in the painting chain. We'll talk about the painting chain a little bit later on, but there are no hint arts that we need to look at in a certain order or anything like that in Snow or Seaside, so we can just mash our way through. No big deal. Now, Snow has probably the biggest sequence break of this entire game, and it's fun, Smile, so It's going to utilize another one of those moon clips that we've been talking about. And if it doesn't utilize the moon clip because I messed it up, it'll utilize a roll cancel clip, which I don't think we've actually done yet.
We have not.
Because I skipped the one in sand.
Hopefully we don't see it, but we might.
Yeah. Imagine a darker side that has no roll cancel clips because we routed them all out. What the heck?
That's interesting.
It was a cornerstone for so long in this category. All right, little known fact, buying the heart actually doesn't do anything valuable for you in the speedrun, so you probably don't want to buy it.
Hey, if you miss roll cancel clips too much, you can always start implementing that sewer clip we were talking about.
There we go. The one that everybody loves.
It'll happen someday.
All right, so gathering some fast moons in this little town area, and coming up here is my favorite part of all time.
Yeah, so you're gonna try to clip in the wall to the left there with this moon. Looks like you got it.
Yeah, it looks pretty solid, and we kind of just roll our way there. So the story of this kingdom is that Bowser's already come here, and he's stolen the frosted cake, which is the item for the wedding that he's gathered here. But he leaves them with a nasty surprise, and then a nasty surprise is 4 locked doors entering their arena, their very prized arena. So in order to save the kingdom here, we need to unlock those doors for them so that they can commence their kind of traditional festival of their own, I suppose, which is this Bound Bowl minigame. Now, when I do this game on my own streams, I typically have a reward. If somebody can guess it to the exact 100th of a second, I gift a free sub to the channel, and I'm willing to do that here. So, you know, if you want to be a Calithon sub, go ahead and get your guesses in. Good guesses are between like 52 and 54 seconds, and if I see a correct guess, I will gift a sub to Calithon for you guys.
I'm in.
While those guesses are rolling in, the train's still coming in, if you got a sec.
Yeah, for sure.
Biology throws another $5 in the pot. Hey, Dangers, stayed up an extra hour just to make sure I caught the first bit of your run. Still need to manage to my sleep schedule tonight, though. So good luck on the rest of the run. P.S. Let's keep that train moving. Yes, let's.
Thanks, Biology.
So did we say what Bowser's stealing from this kingdom?
Yeah, the frosted cake.
Oh, okay, yeah. Just wanted to make sure. I can't deprive the people of the lore.
That's right.
I'm assuming that doesn't show up in post game. And if it does, where? I've not
I don't know. I think the cake is spoiled by post game.
seen it. I was wondering if it got eaten.
I mean,
It might still be in the chapel on Moon Kingdom, actually.
I think it just turns into a pile of coins at the end, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
52:05 is our final time. I don't know if anybody guessed that.
Oh, I'm
That
checking.
was a pretty speedy one.
Schultz is very close.
Schultz had faith. Schultz was in.
Yeah, you had the 5202.
I think no one got it.
5295. I got baited. Yeah, I don't think I see a 5205.
Unfortunate. Better luck next time.
You can always do it again later if you want.
That's true. It would be really slow, but why not?
This time with your nipples out.
How long are we making this marathon anyway? You guys just gonna stay up all night with me?
I'm in.
We can just keep it running.
I mean, even California goes to bed eventually, right?
I mean, what's bedtime in this new world we live in?
True. My goodness.
Bed is a before times thing.
All right. So there weren't very many moons for us to collect in the like town portion of Snow Kingdom. So we just got the fastest ones and then we finished the story. But that leaves us a couple more moons that we still need to get before we can leave. So that's what we're doing. Now that Snow Kingdom is bright and sunny and not so scary, one of those moons is this one. And this one's really fun. Oh, it
So
was
these-
really fun.
These fish have a chance to either give you a soft bite or a strong bite, and you can feel it in the rumble of your controller. It's pretty likely to give you like the strong bite that allows you to pull it out of the water, like either the first or second time. But it
Not
can
guaranteed.
sometimes take like 7 or 8 or even more tries to get a strong bite. The most I've ever seen is 8, personally. But each of those costs you like 2 seconds. So it's like one of the few RNG points of this category. Which thankfully it's like that's like the extent of it, pretty much.
RNG in this game, basically like sometimes Goombas will walk in a different pattern than some other times. Spinies will walk in a different pattern than some other times. The fishing minigame, you can get an absorbent amount of bites and not actually be able to pull the rod out, which is just wonderful. And yeah, the Mecha Wiggler I think is the only kind of patches of RNG that I can think of that really have any effect on
definitely
anything.
like worst case scenario RNG total comes out to less than a minute that you can possibly lose, and even that is like pretty unlikely.
Yeah, like really, really bad.
Like anything more than like 20 seconds to RNG is just like disgustingly bad.
And now we go to Seaside, and Seaside is the home of probably my favorite boss in this entire game. And the thing that they steal from this kingdom is soda, I believe.
It's like the sparkling water.
Kobe. Yes, this kingdom, and it's funny actually, I didn't notice this until like a couple months ago, but somebody pointed out to me, if you get really close to the walls in this kingdom, they look like rock, they look like sandstone or something. But they're not, they're actually cork. If you get up close to these walls, you can actually see that they're made of cork. And this, the theme of this kingdom is that it's sparkling water. So some kind of like Italian resort getaway, I guess. And so Bowser steals some sparkling water for his perfect wedding on some
wash down the cake.
Exactly, on some undisclosed location. So you notice that I grabbed those notes, and then I just kind of left the moon there that they spawned. It's because I actually didn't want it. I thought it would be kind of cool to grab those notes, show off a little bit.
This wouldn't be a half bad place for a destination wedding, you know?
I'd love it here, yeah. Oops. And you can see the moon down there. I really don't want it. Like, I don't think I've really drilled it home yet. It's not my favorite. I honestly wish that the moon didn't exist, so we're just going to skip it again.
Now we get to use one of the best captures in the game for a little while.
He's a very speedy boy. You know, this and Pokios and Bullet Bills are probably my favorite captures in this game. I feel like they're the most
probably
dynamic.
this and a Bullet Bill are like the fastest way to move in
Totally.
the game in general.
If you're underwater, cheaps, but I mean, moving underwater is kind of slow anyways.
Yeah.
And
you got to be careful with them because they have a limited amount of water that you have to refresh before you can use them again. Like if you land in a pool of water anywhere, it'll refill. And the other thing that refills it is collecting a moon. So the moon on that cliff top there, you ran into it as the Gushin and it refilled the water. And then also checkpoints will refill the water. So he's going to grab this moon, recapture the Gushin, and run into that checkpoint that was right behind him.
And now
you refill it one more time.
You might have noticed that like grabbing that moon on the top of the cliff didn't really do anything to the Gushin. It refilled his water. And Kerb just said, like, you can use moons to refill the water. The story moons have a different property, though. Because you kind of have to go through that cutscene where Mario celebrates with Cappy that you're completing the story, it'll just kill the Gushin. It'll make it disappear. So I had to keep the Gushin kind of locked away in the corner so that I was able to keep it
it's not only if you get the moon like while you're in the Gushin capture, but if the Gushin is too close, it will just despawn from that cutscene.
Yeah, and we need him. He goes on a little journey with us. He's a very fast boy, like we said. So Seaside is a really big kingdom, and in the early game, a lot of the moons are very spread out. So it's in our best interest to keep this guy with us because he moves pretty fast.
Goombas can also be fast, but only in very particular situations. Gushins are just speedy boys all the time. There's some crazy stuff in general that you can do with momentum in this game, though.
Yeah. It's got a lot of, like, kind of underneath the surface types of things going on, like vectoring is one that comes to mind. And you just, like, you wouldn't know about it if you were playing casually. You might have done it by accident and not even noticed. But, yeah, there's a lot of, like, weird momentum quirks that come with, you know, having a power-up that it basically follows you around and you can bounce on. And not only that, but just like the way that you fly through the air. It's very unique.
So this is Brigadier Mollusk Lancer III Dauphin of Lane.
Mhm.
And
There's
he's a
nothing
very fancy boy.
nothing weird about that name at all. I finally decided that, you know, this Moon and I, we've made up. We're friends again. So I'm going to grab it now.
Yeah, that Moon is great. As long as you don't warp anywhere, you can collect those notes and the Moon will just sit there. And since we have to wait for the Mr. Lancer to run around the backside, this is kind of an auto-scroller boss fight. It's better to just grab the Moon there.
Yeah, saves a second or two. And, oh, I missed him. That's awesome. Okay. You'll notice that he kind of just clipped through the hot springs, which is not something, you know, normal Brigadier Mollusk Lancer III Dauphin of Blaines do. But basically, I know where he's going to show up. All of these boss fights are linear, right? So if I show up to the spots that he's going to stop and is available to spray, when you get to the hot spring, if you manage to hit him before he stops moving, then he just kind of does that. He just goes through the hot spring, and it's a lot faster for him to do that than it is for him to go all the way around. So saves a couple seconds.
And now the sparkling water has been fully uncorked and the little chalice in the center is all refilled. So the next kingdom is probably the most disgusting lore-wise. From Luncheon Kingdom, you know, Bowser has the cake, but they need a main dish, you know? Like, you can't just have the dessert at the wedding. You gotta feed the people an actual meal.
Yeah.
So there's a stew in the Luncheon Kingdom, but you'll see. It's pretty gross.
Bowser's really not doing any favors to the digestive system of his guests.
Not
No.
really. He's going
Sparkling
pretty...
water, soup, and cake. Like, boy, oh boy, oh boy.
I'm honestly impressed he wanted to feed them at all.
True. we are
Yeah, I mean,
talking
he
about,
is
like,
trying to be a gracious host.
He wanted to have a very glorious wedding. Even if it is like a very hearty meal. It's fine. He's got to live it rich, you know? Luncheon Kingdom, it's... I want to say I like it for speedrunning. And when it goes right, I absolutely love it. But it's a kingdom that goes wrong very, very easily in, like, every place imaginable.
Yeah, we're just surrounded by an entire world of Pepto-Bismol that hurts you.
Yep. And to make matters worse, it's got this, like, very, very pretty looking neon colored geometry. And you can stand on the geometry, but, like, where you can stand on it isn't necessarily clear. What is a wall and what is a floor doesn't really make sense. You just kind of have to know. So, if you happen
And even
to
if
land,
something is a wall, sometimes you can't wall jump off of it.
Yep. Sometimes it's a slope and it doesn't really have any distinct guidelines on why that would be. So that's cool. So getting around this kingdom is a little bit of a mess. But, like I said, it opens up a lot of platforming opportunities, and if you can pull those off, it is pretty slick. It does look pretty cool. Also, our second run-in with Spewart just happened, and that was infinitely harder because his arena is rectangular now, so I really had to focus, if you couldn't tell.
So the other thing I like to point out is that the Brutals, as you go through the game, they become poorer and poorer every time you run into them. So the first few times, they give you a multi-moon when you defeat them. And that fight, you only get a single moon. And same with, like, one of the other ones that Danger skipped in Snow Kingdom. And then once you get to Bowser's Kingdom, you have to fight 2 of them just to get a single moon. So they're really scrapping by the end of this game.
Yep. You would think that Bowser would be paying them handily for their work on the wedding, but nope. They're just paying out of their own pockets, it seems like. He's a very greedy boy when it comes to his wedding. I guess the one exception is Topper never gives you anything at the beginning except for access to the next kingdom.
You got poor Topper. He's the poorest of the bunch. I can't believe I just said poor Topper.
Probably the most aggravating to fight out of all of them. So one thing that this game really, like, basically because it's a platforming game and there's no real downtime to it at all, you're trying to fill absolutely everything with an action. So, like, back at that lantern, you saw me, like, throw Cappy out before the moon spawned in, and that was just to set myself up for a vault so that I could, like, get launching off in a direction afterwards. Like, this game is so full of that kind of stuff, where you're, like, always kind of got a movement going, you're never really waiting around for anything.
Now that I'm thinking about it, is that the first sub-area of the game?
You don't do any in Metro, do you?
No?
No.
Yeah, I think you're
I
right.
think it is.
That's crazy.
We'll see a lot more sub-areas.
When we get to the post-game, for sure.
Yeah. So here's the stew. We got a nice giant corn cob chilling in there.
Yep. And we just kind of skip over all of that stuff. I think we have time for a donation, yeah.
We do. We got one from Jet Lauder for $5 saying, "Did someone say $5 train?" Ooh woo.
Thank you for the ooh woo. Yeah, $5 donation train. We're revealing the secret TM if we get to 10,000, so that's pretty cool. We're also already whipping our nips out, which is great. So thank you guys for reaching that. So now, lore-wise here, Kerbis, why don't you take us? What's happening?
Well, at that stew, it didn't look so bad, right? You got a nice big slab of some kind of meat that dropped in there. You got the corn stewing in it. It probably has some nice different flavors mixed in. Didn't look terrible. But now there is a large bird that is sitting on top of the pot, and it's going to do some disgusting things to make that stew somewhat less desirable.
Just très magnifique, I think is how they pronounce it in French. But we got to get there first. So just warping up like I did to the very top where we just were is basically just to get that hint art, which is going to spawn in a pretty fast moon later on. It also just so happens that it's like one of the closest checkpoints to where we need to be in order to progress. And then we're going to make our way up to the top of the kingdom. And now this is kind of like one of the points in the run where, you know, pointing out the fact that Luncheon has some really cool platforming really kind of comes into play, because after we get this story moon, I think the game wants us to go all the way up to the top of the mountain, and it sets out a nice little platforming puzzle path for you to do that. But we're going to skip that because we can, because we're fast.
Shout out to Koopa Free Running.
Just going to get this moon really fast. I used to do this moon without capturing the piranha plant, which is actually about a second faster, but one of Toadette's achievements is to have a certain number of captures, and it just so happens to help us to grab that one.
That piranha's name is also Betsy, canonically.
Okay, good to know.
Neo and I agreed on that a while back.
I mean,
And you
they look
guys
like
are
a
the
Betsy.
authority on canonical names of Mario characters.
I mean, do we need to talk about the Stratton Bowsers? I think it's pretty clear.
I'll be sure
What's
to
up?
point that one out when we get there.
Alright, sweet.
So here is aforementioned bird, and just gonna vomit all over that beautiful stew that was cooking.
I
So,
mean, we're invading.
I don't know about you. I don't want to eat it anymore. Someone might.
If I was a Chef Burb and some, you know, nasty fireball started jumping around in my soup, I'd probably vomit it in it as well. Just saying. And maybe it's a bird thing. I don't know. Birds regurgitate into babies' mouths. That's what they do.
That's true.
It's just natural instinct.
Cookatiel probably thinks nothing of it.
So that fight went really well.
Yeah,
basically,
that fight is famous for just like having terrible hitboxes and for you falling straight through those pools of vomit that you're jumping up.
not only that, but yeah, the hitboxes, like you said, this is one of the major bosses that actually does have a sequence break. You know, going underneath Cookatiel and hitting them in the belly, that kind of initiates the whole vomiting phase. I mean, maybe that's why they're vomiting into the soup. I'd be kind of, queasy if a fireball punched me in the stomach too. But it gets the phases moving a little bit faster, and then the first two phases have a nice little pathway that you can just walk up, but the third one has, little platforms that you have to jump up instead. And 4 jumps is kind of the optimal number that you're looking for, and with the hitboxes and everything, it's not necessarily easy to do, but we made it happen, so...
I never thought about that. Cookatail is puking, which is pretty gross, but there is some art to it. Like, it's like blowing smoke rings or something, how it just lets out little segments of vomit that slowly trail one another.
Yeah, see, it's in their instinct. It's just their nature.
It's an art form.
Do you think vomit art will be a thing on TikTok by the time quarantine's over?
Listen, nothing would surprise me at this point.
Now, this is another one of those surprise moments in the story. You think you're going to go chase down Bowser in his own kingdom, but he ambushes you, and you end up here.
So this time Bowser doesn't have the time to fight you himself, but he does knock the Odyssey down into a strange land once again. So kind of funny to me that in most kingdoms, like this whole time you're trying to power up the Odyssey, right, to its full power. And like some kingdoms, you take 10 moons, 16 moons, 18 moons to kind of add a new sail to the Odyssey. This one, the whole thing gets completely destroyed. There's just no power whatsoever, and all you need to do is get 1 multi-moon.
Yep, 3 moons.
Also, everyone says this is the Dark Souls dragon, but I need to set the record straight and let everyone know that this is the dragon from Shrek.
True. Why did I never think of that?
And all of you will never see this dragon the same.
I didn't know where you were going to go with that one.
Does that mean somewhere else in the kingdom Donkey's making waffles?
Very likely.
Now, as far as the fight goes, not really anything too spectacular here. This is infamous for speedrunners to just be like, kind of let's get this over with. There's not anything you can do to speed up the fight. You're just waiting for all of these phases to finish. The only thing you can really do to speed it up is to do the little damage boost on his head, and that's just kind of puts you in a standing position so that you're able to pull all the pegs as fast as you can, and that's it. Not really much else to say about this fight. Also,
Honestly,
Captain Toad is mandatory. You have to release the Captain Toad.
objectively a true statement.
Also, don't worry. Shrek Dragon is not dead.
Yeah, she's just
If you,
sleeping.
it's one of the few kingdoms that you won't come back to in Darker Side, but if you do come back to Ruined later in the post game, she'll still be chilling there, just kind of with one eye half open, just taking a nap.
Can I issue a challenge to the chat really quick?
Of course you can.
So, right now, in light of what has just been revealed about the dragon, I am making a $1 donation with the word "some,"
Oh no.
and I want to see how far we can get this. I think everyone in chat knows exactly what I'm talking about already.
Well, I don't know where this is gonna go. I have no idea.
Yeah, she is canon because it's the dragon from Shrek, and the dragon from Shrek is a girl.
He's not wrong. I fact-checked that.
All right. Off we go. Finally in Bowser's Kingdom, we're attacking his castle now.
Finally, we're at Bowser's home, sieging his castle. We're definitely gonna fight him at the end, and that'll be the end of the game.
Yeah, this is where the wedding's happening, right? This is where he lives.
You know, that's tasteful. Just have the hometown wedding. I respect it.
Yeah. And I mean, we've never seen any sort of like plot twist sort of finish in a Mario game before, right? So this is definitely where we're going to end up.
The 3D world finish actually baited me when I played it.
Oh, really? I kind of
Yeah.
saw it coming after like the new Super Mario Brothers games. I was like, yeah, we're not done here yet.
Is that when you grab the flag? I'm spoiling the game. I'm sorry, I'm trying to remember. It's been a bit since I played 3D World.
Grab the flag. Yeah, I think
No,
so.
there was-
Well,
There was just like, I don't remember exactly. There was like one boss fight, and then there's like a whole bunch of other stuff where you like climb the tower in the cat suit.
Mm.
in Bowser's Kingdom, there's not a whole lot of setup that really needs to be done here. We will be revisiting it, but it's a very story-heavy kingdom. Each of these islands is very separated from the others, so there's not a whole lot
And
we can do.
Even if you, like a lot of these islands, even if you can find a way to skip to the next one without doing the story moon, just like none of the story moons after it would load or would be there unless you did the one before it.
Exactly.
So it's just like, you just got to go through it as planned, as designed.
Quick thing.
Sure.
I've got a $1 donation from TP Speed that says body.
Yes. Let it begin.
Also, those blocks that Dangers broke open with the bombs, you can break those open by just hitting them with the Pokio nose 100 times.
It was nice of the game to actually, factor that in. In case you were
People
really
usually don't
bad.
believe you when you tell them that, but go try it. It'll break after 100 hits.
More interestingly, in the original version, you get a coin for doing it, even if you do that. But later on, they patched that coin out.
Well, that is handy.
Interesting.
Don't know why. Don't know why. But it makes coinless possible. So there's that.
This kingdom is notorious in this category for the capture warps that we were talking about. This is actually the second one I've done. The first one was at the beginning with the bird. And we're actually going to do one more while we're on this little island here. It was nice of Bowser to put in like a little souvenir shop because, I'm sure he has plenty of guests that would need something like that. Shout
That
out
was
to
his
Valor,
other,
by the way.
yeah. His other reason for visiting Metro Kingdom was to find employees for his souvenir shop.
True. Also, definitely not kidnapped against their will.
Definitely not.
So, leaving that moon behind, like I mentioned before, some moons take a little bit before you can actually grab them. That one takes a long time. So,
Yeah.
by leaving it behind in the hole, getting the moon up top first, and then...
Wait a minute, where are you going? You're supposed to do Topper first.
Oh, right.
I'm very upset.
It's over.
You're in the minority here.
Well, guys, it was a good run. Thank you guys for watching Calithon. Dude, that is an original meme. I haven't even heard that one since like 1846. The Battle of Topper and Harry at First.
It's a battle that rages on. It'll never end.
For all eternity.
It's like Link versus Ganon.
Yeah, the heroes of time. And now Topper. And we haven't seen this guy for an hour and 10 minutes. But here he is again. And he has more hats.
Say, everybody that was in Harriet First Gang misspelled Harriet, but the one person who was against it spelled it correctly.
Yeah, very important. Harriet is only spelled with one R. She's very quirky and interesting and unique.
I think they were just trying to play on the bunny hair pun for sure with the one R, but
Yeah.
and there we go. We get the one moon for defeating 2 minions, which is really fair as the game goes on.
So if I've learned one thing, is it that top or first people are objectively wrong?
No.
Don't listen to him. He's the topper first guy. He doesn't know what he's saying.
Oh, okay, I get it. You're like one of those people that puts milk in your cereal bowl first.
Oh, what am I doing? Hold on.
Listen, that's another topic that we just can't discuss in this place.
All right.
It wasn't
so-
no.
Doesn't matter what order the ingredients go in. Is cereal a soup, though?
That's another.
Hey, I come from a culinary background, and I say yes. All right.
This is one of my favorite strats in the game.
Didn't you make this one?
Maybe? I don't know.
We'll give you
I think
credit.
I did, actually. I forgot I made that up.
Yeah, we'll give you credit for that one. But basically, like I said before, like in luncheon, how we're waiting for something to happen. So while we're waiting for something to happen, we can just kind of throw Cappy out and do a fancy little vault to get to where we need to go. Saves a little bit of time.
I'm running strats here.
Right, take those notes. Any darker side enthusiasts at home, make sure you've got pen and paper out.
Also, we've got $1 from Mr. Shasta. $1.01. It says once.
Ah, yes. Let it progress. Now, here's the question. Do we have enough words in the song to get us to 10,000? Let's do it.
Definitely not. But
Okay.
who said we need to only do the song once?
So that was supposed to be Fast Timpani Neo Poke Dram, and because I missed it, I probably lost like 20 minutes. But it's fine.
Harriet first and failing this trick. I mean,
I
you're
can't
not
believe-
really helping me out right now.
I can't believe you guys are letting me continue this run, to be honest. Alright, now we get to fight Bowser, right? This is a funny looking Bowser. Oh, I've never seen that happen before. That's fine. So, this boss fight, if you've ever, played this game, you're probably aware of the fact that, like, there's a bird that you're supposed to use to make this fight, progress. But we can kind of just skip the bird entirely and climb up the side of the leg. And then we basically just spend all of our time platforming our way back to the top so that we can avoid having to climb up with the bird at all. And I'm not doing a very good job of that, but that's okay. The second two hits, we have to wait until the robot does a little angry fit around the arena, and then we can get those two finished off nice and fast.
Yeah, this fight you can cut the most time out of any boss fight in the game, because like it would normally do all this stuff where it charges around and then takes some steps, and then it would shoot out bombs that you could hit back at it with the Pokio, and then it falls down, and then you climb on top, and then you smack the bubbles with the Pokio. So it's just like
Specifically
doing
one
it the
at a
way they
time.
want you to do it compared to what he just did is probably like 2 minutes faster or something.
Mm-hmm.
And since it wasn't expressly clear, that whole sequence that Kirby's just listed, that's 4 times because it's once per
Yeah.
bubble.
Right.
Every single bubble pushes you off and backwards, and you need to get a new burb every time as well.
So it's working really quick. Funny.
It's working.
We got 2 donations each for $1, one from Crypthic and one from Tungsten that both say hold.
There we go.
Can't wait to see where it goes.
I've never heard this song before, so I can't wait to see where the words take us.
Boy, you're in for a treat, let me tell you.
I was to say,
So-
you said you did a good job, but you did a stellar job of improving that one. I was holding my breath.
What, the fight?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just I had to just stay on. that was my goal. The second 2 hits were fine. The first 2, yeah.
So you might have saw there was a little pipe on the back of the Odyssey, a little exhaust pipe. That one's kind of scary because if you dive at that pipe in the wrong way, you'll enter it and it'll take you inside of the Odyssey,
Mhm.
which is just a really obnoxious time loss.
It's
It's one
a
of the
bit-
most tilting things that can happen because like you can dive and hit like the side of it and it'll suck you in.
Yep. It's
It's massive.
pretty embarrassing to do. I've definitely done it in a run. It's not that big a time loss. You just have to exit the Odyssey and then like
Yeah, no,
Throw
it's
your
probably
cap.
like 5 seconds or something, but it's just one of those things that when it happens, it feels like the world is ending.
Yep. Even better if you don't know that that exhaust pipe in the back is like an actual pipe and it happens for you for the first time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a bunch of secret ways to enter the Odyssey that I feel like everyone just does on accident at first.
All right, so surprise, surprise, we have landed on the moon. And this is where the very fabulous wedding is happening on this chapel that is very precariously on this giant pedestal at the top of the Moon Kingdom. And yeah, so all of Bowser's, thieving has led up to this moment, essentially. And Mario's dressed for the occasion. And just like before, we're going to be doing a little bit of collecting before we make our way all the way over there. So just some moons along the way.
And the Moon Kingdom will get revisited, but on the revisit, there's just a bunch of moons that are kind of chilling right in the general vicinity of where the Odyssey sits. We don't actually come out into like this other area of the kingdom, so anything that's remotely close to being in our path, gonna grab now.
That's right.
And the classic moon skip the whole cave.
Do you get the same amount of moons in this visit as you do in the second? It's 5, right?
Yeah, I think so.
That trick has been known about for a very long time. Like, basically, day one, people discovered that you could not go in the moon cave and instead just do that series of wall jumps. Saves about 3.5 minutes from going through the entire thing, and a boss fight. You actually, don't even see Madame Brutal ever again.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because even in categories where you have to get the moons that are in the cave, the fight itself doesn't give you anything, so it's faster to go in the cave, grab the moons, and then warp back out and do moon cave skip.
Yep.
Just so you don't have to do the fight. So now you'll see what we were talking about earlier. Bowser and Peach kind of struggling over the ring.
All of the goodies in the background. And now Bowser is in an arena very similar to the Cloud one, very suspiciously. The exact same shape and size and everything. But the fight is a little bit harder this time because in between the phases he's going to spit fire at us. Bowser's mixtape coming to stores very soon, coming to iTunes.
The dangers, they're not the same. This one is dark and edgy.
Oh, true. There's even Bowser's head on the... Wait, maybe was that in the Cloud Kingdom too? It might have been.
I don't know, actually. I don't think so.
You've got me doubting now.
I think so. But, no, it might just be Spy. It might just be Spy. I don't know.
Bowser just
We don't
takes
actually know what we're talking about. We're making this all up as we go.
This is the first time in ages I've paid attention to details.
I've never actually even played this game before. I'm surprised you guys invited me to this marathon, to be honest. The funny thing about this fight is that because he has that phase in the middle where he throws fire, you can set yourself up for grabbing his hat even easier than you could before. So I would argue that this phase is actually a lot easier than the other one. Just that he swings his tail a couple more times, but, nothing random, nothing out of the ordinary. So now, I remember I saw Shasta say something about the escape sequence in the chat earlier, and it definitely, for me, was like, as I was playing this game, it was building up to the point where I was like, you're capturing everything in this game. Oh my gosh, Bowser's knocked out at the bottom of this hill. I wonder what I'm gonna do. Yeah. And it was like...
As soon as I realized what was happening, I just had, the biggest stupid smile on my face.
Yeah. You get to be Bowser. Another really infamous Super Mario Odyssey speed trick coming up here, known as the 2D skip. This one also comes along with a quote by Samu, I think, where he says, why I did go for it. This tripped up a lot of runs, and it sucks because it's right at the end, and now we barely even think about it, I suppose.
It's only a 50% success rate.
True.
Also, I'm going to publicly call out me and every other Super Mario Odyssey runner ever and say that we didn't realize you could run as Bowser in the 2D section until 3 months after the game came out.
Yep. we just thought it was fireballs. Why would they attribute 2 actions to the same button? Shoutouts to motion controls, by the way. And this is kind of the penultimate moment. The moon is exploding for some reason, and we just have to break these 4 pillars in order to escape. And all of these rocks are on a cycle. You can kind of predict what they're going to do. Sometimes they still get in your way, though, because they are kind of annoying, and they have big hitboxes, but shouldn't be too much trouble. Now, if you're doing an any percent speedrun or a world peace speedrun, this would be it. We're at the end. We've accomplished the goal. We've saved the kingdoms. We've crashed the wedding. And we've saved Princess Peach, and that's it. But because we're trying to get to the darker side, this is kind of where things get started, to be honest.
Yeah, that's what I always say. This is where darker side begins.
I'm 23, not even a bad world peace time. Well, I guess that she didn't do the wooded, but
Close enough.
yeah, it's okay. You're gonna do it, so it's fine.
Yeah. World peace implied. New category.
I don't know why, just the frogs with the little top hats crack me up.
Aren't they great? I like the sheep and the sombreros. I don't like wrangling the sheep. I just think that, it's funny to me. It always crosses my mind when I see them that somewhere...
Aesthetically, it's funny, but there's just too much rage inside me against
fair
those
enough.
sheep that I can't even...
It just makes me smile on the inside knowing that somewhere in Nintendo's headquarters in Japan, somebody had to program sombreros on the sheep. And it makes me happy.
So you can see on the Odyssey there on the balloon, we have 144 moons. Technically 149 because there's 5 in Mario's inventory.
And we need 500.
That number is going to stay 144 on the Odyssey for quite a while now. Because what's going to happen next is we're going to, after Dangerous does some setup stuff in Mushroom Kingdom here, we're going to start the revisits. And instead of traveling to all the kingdoms through the Odyssey like we've been doing the whole game, most kingdoms have paintings that lead to and from them that you can warp through.
Yeah,
and
Mario 64 style.
the animations of going through those paintings are a lot faster because you don't have to sit there and watch Mario dump all the moons in the Odyssey every time. And there's no cutscene of the Odyssey flying in the air and stuff like that. So the paintings are really fast, and we're gonna use a bunch of them for most of the rest of the run. And then at the end of the painting chain, there's going to be a big dump of moons, of all the moons we collect throughout that whole section. And it's going to be like 250 of them.
You can see Toadette chilling there. Toadette's really fun. We're going to gather her moons later. We needed to come into this castle, though, to look at that hint art for, reasons. Also get that moon from the cracks while we were in there. We might as well.
Yeah, I actually used to do it at the end, so I was very confused. I was like, wow, we're done already.
Shoutouts to the burp on the tree there. Didn't disturb the burp. And this is where our painting chain begins. And it does a full loop, but we're actually going to break the loop right towards the end of it, but we'll explain that when we get there.
Yeah, there's some kingdoms that don't have paintings, so if you want to revisit them, you got to just do it through the Odyssey. So yeah, we mentioned the moon rocks earlier. They don't just automatically add the extra moons to the kingdom. You actually have to go to the moon rock and break it open in order to get all the extra moons that spawn in.
That's right.
So Dangerous is making his way over there while also collecting the moons that were already available from achieving peace. You can see it in the top corner of the screen there. He's making his way over to it.
It just so happens that there's a bunch of moons kind of littered around on the way, so we'll pick them up. Break out Captain Toad from his little igloo house. Pretty fortunate for us that these moons don't exist after the moon rock, so we're able to just get them as we kind of loop around the outside of the kingdom.
Yeah.
But you'll
so
see.
he's he's gonna hit the moon rock, and there's gonna be a map that pops up, and there's like little X's that mark where all of the new moons are, so you can get a good feel for like how many moons are getting added.
It's quite a lot.
Yeah, and this is like Snow Kingdom is one of the kingdoms that doesn't really get that many, and it's still quite a few.
Yeah. And the thing with the Moonrock moons, the reason that they're so valuable is that a lot of them are... I mean, there's a handful of sub-areas that get added, and those are kind of challenges in their own right and whatever they are, but a lot of the moons are like this one.
Yeah,
a lot of the
they're
moons are just
sitting out in the open.
This, yeah. Or they're like hiding in the ground in a ground pound spot or something like that. Like a lot of the Moonrock moons are very easy to collect. So opening up the Moonrock opens up some really, really quick moons. But as you can see, the moons are coming rapid fire now. We've got the story like, 95% out of the way. So we don't really have to deal with any more cutscenes. And like Kerbis said, we're not actually going to be taking the Odyssey for probably about an hour and a half now. So this part of the game is just rapid fire. We're just trying to complete moon collecting. We're going on a little Easter egg hunt, essentially. Getting moons all over the place.
So we're gonna see soon why the clip in the Snow Kingdom earlier was really good. Like, obviously it's good because you can get down to that area fast, but it has a double purpose, kind of. Because all those tunnels that Danger's mentioned earlier that you're supposed to go through to, like, take the wall or take the floor out, they all have 2 moons in them before you open the moon rock, but they all get an additional moon once you open the moon rock. So we can go into all 4 of those rooms only one time and get all 3 moons.
That's right. And one of the rooms is actually just too slow in general, so we skip that one entirely, but the other 3 definitely become fast enough as a result of having that extra moon injected into them. And if there was no sequence break, we would have to do these rooms anyways, and then these moons that are just kind of hanging out in the middle of the air would go to waste. Like, we would probably not come back for them. So
in this tunnel, you have to do the intended thing, which is to capture this Taifu at the end and blow all these spinies off the ledge, and it spawns a moon. But the other 2 rooms, the task that you're supposed to complete is just kind of like done for you already, and there's just a moon sitting there waiting to be collected. So it skips a whole boss fight with one of the Brutals, and skips you having to go around a room and collect little moon shards.
Yep.
So that clip just saves a crazy amount of time. I don't think anybody's ever bothered to like actually calculate how much time it saves, but it's definitely like, it's got to be like 3 minutes at least.
It's even to the point where, like, if you were to want to play Darker Side, and for some reason you just had an absolute despise of the idea of sequence breaking, you would probably just route out revisiting Snow at all, because, like, it's just not worth coming back here.
Yeah, because like I said, there's not that many moons that get added from the moon rock, so it's like you would just skip out on getting peace entirely and not come back to Snow.
All right. So this is the hardest boss fight in the game, by the way.
Yeah. Shoutouts to Ice Rango.
Oh, I thought we were talking about the lump in the ground.
That is Rango.
Oh,
That's what remains of him.
See how powerful this sequence break is?
The best Peach outfit is the overalls. Anybody who says differently is wrong.
See, I'm kind of a big fan of the Snow Kingdom Peach.
That's the second best one, but it's a distant second best. I feel very strongly about this.
I mean, he even has an emote on Twitch of the overalls Peach. So, I mean...
For now.
true.
For now.
Yeah, when are we getting a dragon emote that looks like the Shrek dragon?
I mean, also in the game, so I don't see why. It fits with the theme. It really does.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So get your guesses in for round 2 of the Bound Bowl. We're gonna go head back down there again. If you guys get the guess exactly right, offer for the sub to Calithon is on the line here.
I'm gonna guess a 59-11.
Oof, giving me no faith.
That is no faith.
You know what? To be fair, I don't have faith in myself, so I'm just gonna skip it. I'm not actually gonna go in.
Yeah, that's fair. It's a tough moon anyways. Because they actually get harder the second time.
It's true. Imagine if they went a little bit faster than before. But no, like we said, 20 seconds is kind of the cap on moons, and obviously doing the entire race again would be far, far slower than that. So, no.
And that's
need.
another thing where you only get 1 moon for doing it a second time, as opposed to the triple moon you get.
Oh, that's spicy. I'll take that. So that is a strategy we call affectionately blowy noey. Do you want to explain?
I
Curb,
can
why?
say confidently that I coined that term.
Yeah.
I may have forgotten about my Bowser strat,
But hey,
yeah, some people like to call those the Taifus, the big gust wind guys, blowy joeys. That's just been like the thing that people have called them since the game came out. So normally normally you would have to bring one of those guys over and like blow a platform over to be able to get up to that moon. But you could also just bring a Taifu over and jump out of it and get up to the platform. But doing what Dangers did there, kind of a weird, precise thing with the geometry, just allows you to skip it entirely.
yeah, I was making fun of Luncheon's geometry and how it's usually kind of messes you up. We kind of rely on weird geometry sometimes to be able to do the tricks that we want to do.
This sequence where you hit the moon rock and then go to Captain Toad always confuses me, because in different categories it's like sometimes you go up, sometimes you go down.
Yeah, it just depends
There's even
on what direction
an
you're going.
alternate darker side route where you can kind of do things in different order.
Now, this sub area is your favorite, right, Curb?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Also, worth mentioning again, he captured that big chain chomp because the big chain chomp is actually a different capture from the regular size, and he needs X captures for a Toadette moon at the end.
Yeah, so the way it works out is I think you wind up just naturally from the moons you collect, you wind up with 1 capture too few to get an achievement.
Yes.
So capturing that big chain chomp is solely for the purpose for locking in that achievement moon, which again is like 7-second moons. So you definitely want to do stuff to get as many as possible, as long as you're not going too far out of your way.
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
When you're saying 20-second moons, is that the length of time from getting one to getting another one?
Yes.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, just like the average time across the period of the run per moon.
And, you know, that kind of has to factor in things like transitioning from kingdom to kingdom. So, like, the moons in between, like, one kingdom to the next are probably going to be a little bit longer. It's just kind of the average over the entire course of the run.
Like, because you'll notice now he's in post game, he's getting on a lot quicker than before, because obviously there's a lot of the setup with all the bringing peace to each kingdom is obviously going to be slower than 20 seconds, but it just averages out that way.
Like if you set a timer to just like ding every 20 seconds from here till pretty close to the end of the run, you're probably not going to hear that timer ding twice between any 2 moons.
Yeah, we're going heckin' fast at the end here.
Other than Torque Drift.
True, yeah. We still have to achieve world peace somewhere.
That's about the only exception.
But we get 3 for that. And that boss fight is in 6 minutes. Or sorry, a whole. Well, maybe it is a minute. Why did I math my math go there?
20 seconds times 3 equals 6 minutes confirmed.
Quick maps. So that moon, actually, the moon that I just got, a lot more complicated than it looks.
Shout out to Schultzar.
Shout outs to Schultzar. I think the game wants you to use the other chain chomp and like ricochet it into the other one.
It's bad no matter what you do.
But it's just like,
While that is true, you are correct.
yeah, the rock just doesn't have like the greatest hitbox on it, but we discovered kind of a quote-unquote setup in order to be able to hit it more consistently.
Yeah, when he pulled back, you might have noticed that he kind of nudged up against the fossil behind him, and that kind of pushes you closer to where the rock you're trying to hit is. So it pretty much guarantees that you're going to be able to hit it. Otherwise, I've seen people futilely pull back with the chain chomp 7-8 times in a row and constantly miss.
Used to be a run killer for me, for sure.
Is this a personal attack? I don't do the sound. I don't get it.
You don't get it. You just gotta pull.
No, I don't get it.
Just gotta pull in a certain direction. Shoutouts to Schultzar, though. We're gonna use this Dino Boy. A lot of people don't know that you can actually break open the rolling rocks with the dinosaur on the first try instead of batting them around forever. So, a little tidbit of information for you there.
Little fun fact here. He just like ran over the spot where the first moon in the game was. Back when people did runs on the 1.0 version of this game, they would skip the first moon because you could there was a trick to do that. And when you came back to this kingdom, the moon is still sitting there. But if you were to collect it, it would crash the game.
Yep.
So when you were running down that bridge, if you were playing on the 1.0 version, you would have to run off into the water just to make sure that you don't crash the game in the middle of your run.
Yep, and definitely watched a couple people do it. It was kind of polarizing who ran on version 1.0 and 1.2 or 1.3 at the time, I guess. Because there was another skip that you could do that saved 3 minutes later on in the run. So some people like to do that trick on 1.0. So runs on that version were actually quite popular. And it is interesting to me that there's sequence breaks in this game that basically do nothing in terms of messing with the game and the way that it reacts, in Sand Kingdom and Snow Kingdom. And then there's
it's
also
kind of like the same thing with the Ranko moon. When you collect the story moon that comes after it, it spawns and sits there as it would if you had completed the task for that room.
Yeah.
And it doesn't do anything weird to the game when you collect it later. But for some reason, this moon the game can't handle it.
It just doesn't know what to do.
Yeah, it's probably something to do with the fact the Odyssey is gone. If I had to guess.
Yeah, either that or just the cutscene that plays with the bridge, because it extends the bridge back up and drops it back down, and then the game crashes. So it's probably something to do with that.
And then Bowser's Kingdom comes next. And this is one of my favorite revisit kingdoms. I don't know why. I think it's just a lot of cool little platforming. This is another area with a sub area that we get to visit as well. And I think
this is Checkpoint the Revisit.
Checkpoint the Revisit, yeah, true.
Oh, you're doing the...
I guess there is a cool...
what I like to call the Heck Neo strat.
The Heck Neo strat, all right. The Heck Timpani Neo Poke Heck
No,
strat.
I hate this vector.
Tim's like, no, don't associate this with me.
Yeah, I don't want any part in this.
So you can kind of just do that. You can you can aim your roll off of that platform in a way that you just whee, and you go all the way through the sky and get these two moons.
It's not as simple as rolling directly at where you're trying to go either.
Yeah.
We didn't really talk about vectoring. When you're falling from anywhere, if you do it at kind of a 45-degree angle or a 90-degree angle, if you hold a 90-degree angle from where you jumped when you jumped, you'll fall at a 45-degree angle and it'll make you go further and faster.
Yeah. Something about
weird.
changing your trajectory in the air messes with the game's ability to monitor your speed. So if you the more you change your trajectory in the air, the faster you go. Trick jumpers make use of that a lot. There's a huge community dedicated to basically just trying to clear huge gaps with Mario's ability to use Cappy and jump really far distances. And vectoring is extremely important to get some of those jumps done because it helps you clear really long gaps. And as you can see, yeah, I'm just kind of parading through all these moons are. It almost seems like they're meant to be. You know, they're really fast. They're all kind of just laying themselves out in a nice little line for us to collect.
I'm kind of sad Bowser wasn't here in post game.
You know, funny thing, there's a book out there, and it's like an illustrated history of the making of Super Mario Odyssey. I don't know if you guys have like seen that book. I think Oddme has it, but it's kicking around there. I'm pretty sure you can buy it online. And one of the things in that book actually illustrates that Bowser was supposed to go on a bit of a vacation when this whole thing was done as well. And it was originally planned that he was going to go around the world and you'd be able to see him in all the kingdoms too, but I guess they scrapped that idea.
Oh, that sounds so cute.
Which is too bad.
That's kind of what Peach does
Honestly,
instead.
I'd love to see that.
Now this timer challenge, let's see if I can do it. Yeah, that'll do. I like that.
So this next sub area is really cool because there's like this whole journey that you're supposed to go on to unlock some walls that you can wall jump off to get up to the top.
The moon is even called Jizo's Big Adventure.
Yeah. But instead,
You know,
it's like not even that hard to skip everything. You can just triple jump up to this little alcove.
I affectionately refer to this as Jizo Chizo.
as
my
everybody
favorite.
should, to be honest. And that's it. And just kind of skip the whole adventure part of that. Princess Peach looking dashing. This is the only mention of booze in this game, by the way, is her little hairpiece.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Oh, I guess it's not that weird actually, because there's a lot of unique enemies in this game.
I guess fire flowers too. Fire flowers don't appear anywhere else, do they?
Oh, the
No.
rocket flowers are the closest thing
Yeah.
you get to that.
Yeah, kinda. Take a little pit stop into the store. There's a lot of warping in this kingdom because everything's so spread out. There's like little pockets of fast moons to collect in this kingdom, so there's not a really fast way to...
It's like traveling on those zip lines is slower than warping,
Yeah,
even if it's like a directly adjacent island.
especially because some islands just don't have moons at all.
Yeah.
And if they do, we probably collected them in the first visit. Oh boy, I'm getting bullied.
Terrible, terrible pattern.
We were
So
mentioning
you're gonna make it through without
mentioning
taking any
how
damage.
spinies are part of the RNG of this game. Yeah,
Like, that was a really egregious spiny pattern, and what did that lose you? Like 3 seconds, maybe? 4 seconds?
probably just the health refill.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, is a thing you kind of have to consider. Mario does have 3 hit points of health, but every time he collects a moon... Oh, where are you going, Burp? Every time he collects a moon, you have to sit through, like, a healing animation, so... You don't really want to take any damage, if you can help it. So we unfortunately had to send that Burb into the abyss, but he did help us out quite a lot. So...
No, you warped away before it could fall, so it's safe.
Oh, okay, good.
Because, you know, if you're not looking at something in this game, it kind of just freezes in place.
That's true.
So, that bird is safe, don't worry.
This burb is not safe, though, so heck that burb. Now, this pipe is actually really useful for this moon specifically, and basically no other reason at all. So shoutouts to that pipe.
Yeah, traveling on zip lines, super slow. Warping to checkpoints, kind of slow. Traveling through that pipe, immediate entrance from the very bottom to the very top.
We gotta just take care of this bad boy. Another part, like, element of cheese, to be honest. Like, the game clearly intends for you to capture a Goomba and, like, stack them together and then, like, maybe, you know, stack them high enough so that you can, like, jump out and stomp on the guy, but... Maybe they just forgot that Mario could jump really high. I don't know.
It's just 'cause it's really odd because all they would need to do is make him a little higher. But no.
I don't know what to say about Seaside really. It's not my favorite post game visit, but it's a kind of a peaceful break, to be honest. Oh, if I could hit the buttons correct, that would help. But
Yeah, Seaside is just like a pretty chill area to run through.
Go for a swim, collect some moons, play some volleyball.
no
volleyball.
no volleyball. Thank you very much.
How
Right,
much would
sorry,
it take?
you said relaxing, sorry.
Give it a number.
Whoa, to play volleyball? Oh my gosh. If we get to 9,000 before I have to leave the kingdom.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's what.
What to? The 100 or?
Well, yeah, we could do it to 100. I think that's worth it.
200?
We play volleyball to 100. Yeah. To 200, just any meme numbers you want to? Maybe if we get to 10,000, I'll do it to 420 or something. I don't know.
Oof.
Damn.
Careful what you promise.
All right. Can we get some burbs in the chat? This is actually, I think, the first example of a burb cycle that we see in this run. Basically, after warps or, leaving sub-areas or something, sometimes you'll initiate a burb. He starts flying around the kingdom from a set location, and you kind of just have to, race them to their set location. That one's really easy because it's only a couple moons, but some of the burb cycles along the way get even more intricate and a lot tighter than that.
One of the most ridiculous potential time losses in the game is if you land on that shopkeeper's head, he'll go into his shell for 8 seconds before you can talk to him again.
It's you think, I just jumped on it, but he takes forever to come back out.
And who knows why they programmed that. Also, shoutouts to whoever added burb on FFC to the Calithon chat. You're the real hero. Somebody knew that I was going to ask for burbs.
Do you mind if I ask you another question about the game? Because you guys know a ton about it.
Yeah.
I've always felt like bird cycles will have an alternate route if you try camping out a crossing path location. Is that true? It's always felt like if I just sit in their path, they won't go that way.
The one you're probably thinking of is Wooded Kingdom, which it has a really long cycle where it'll kind of do one lap around the kingdom where it goes low, and then it'll do another lap where it goes around the higher up area. So just depending on how long it's been since you last warped or came out of a sub area or whatever, it'll do one or the other. But I know what you mean, because I've felt that way before too. But as long as you warp and go to a particular spot, it'll always go on the same path.
The wooded one is particularly long. However, I think that you might also be talking about the Cap Kingdom one. Also, just shoutouts to this.
The Cap Kingdom one sucks.
Yeah, shoutouts to this little clip that we're going to do out of bounds here. We're going to wiggle our way out. No big deal or anything. But the Cap Kingdom one actually does avoid you. I kind of treat it like a football player. Because, you'll get...
Yeah.
Oh, it does?
Yes.
Yeah. That one, if you get close to it, it'll turn around if you approach it a bad way. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Also, that out of bounds trick, it's really cool, and anyone can do that.
It's honestly so easy.
I can promise you, if you pick up the game and invest 5 minutes, you can do it.
Yeah, it's the cap jump, the left side cap jump at the very beginning of the game. That's the hard thing that everybody wants to do that they probably shouldn't when they're first learning, and the fish clip there is the really easy thing that people are afraid of that they should do.
Yep. It's easier than getting an intended moon, basically how we used to do Seaside in the 80% route before. That is way easier to do, and it also looks cooler. So
yeah, I just thought I'd mention it because you can see a lot of cool out of bounds stuff if you ever wanted to try it.
This is I don't know why, but I big admirer of the routers and stuff for categories like this, because just stringing moons together sometimes just feels so natural. It feels like it's the thing that was just meant to be done. The picking up Glidon and then flying him over to the middle, but also catching the bunny and also getting that one moon on the edge of the glass, like all at the same time. It just like, it feels like something that was meant to be done. I'm gonna have to really be careful there if I... Okay, I guess I'll just wait.
This is like the one part of Seaside that is actually stressful and annoying and terrible.
This 2D maze.
It's just 2D sections in general kind of suck in this game, but this one in particular is just awful. Like everything is spaced out in such a terrible way. Like all the platforms, all the little areas you have to jump into.
I give a lot of credit to Mario games for being very like speed runnable, I guess you could say, because it feels like some of the levels just have a flow to them. Like when you play Super Mario World, I thought it was absolutely genius. It's the very second level that you play, but it's a very vertical level and it's got like these swinging platforms. Maybe you guys know which one I'm talking about. But if you're a speedrunner, you basically just take a running start from the beginning of that level and jump off of the information block at the beginning, and you can keep your speed all the way through the level. And I feel like that kind of stuff is just fascinating to me. That 2D section here in Seaside is an example of like the opposite of that. There's just no natural way to kind of progress in there. You kind of just hope for the best.
I feel like there's actually a few 2D sections that are kind of like that, unfortunately. It's definitely like one of the bigger downsides of this game.
Yeah, because what they did is they made the 2D movement floatier. Like, if you play this game and then you play Super Mario Brothers right afterwards, like, Super Mario Brothers is a little bit slipperier, but the controls are much tighter, which kind of sounds backwards, but you just, like, it's a feel thing. You'd have to play to understand. Whereas this game, like, there's no slipperiness at all, but it's really floaty, and that kind of just ruins everything.
So unfortunately, fish bonk there, but he turned the camera down for a certain amount of time to try to manipulate that eel coming out of the hole. If you do it without bonking, he'll go in, be able to grab that moon, and come back out before pokes his head out and not take any damage.
Yeah, unfortunately missed it that time, but that's okay.
It's really easy to fish bonk in a lot of places.
We're just going to take this little sparkling water fountain all the way to the top of the kingdom, where Peach just so happens to be chilling.
How'd she get up there?
She probably did the same thing Mario did.
I mean, I guess so, yeah. With the suitcase and all.
Yeah, she's dedicated to her vacation. And so that's Seaside. Just so happened to be a moon chilling at the bottom of the glass as well. And into Wooded. Now, if you remember, Wooded is in shambles. You know, we've been leaving this kingdom hanging for about an hour and a half. But we're finally going to achieve peace. And the reason that we left it for this long is because the place that the painting spits us out is actually, like, very conveniently located right at the top of the kingdom. So now that we're here, all we have to do is kind of just traverse over this wall, get this checkpoint, and we're right at the top. So this saved us having to climb the kingdom from the Odyssey down below.
This was my one big contribution to darker side routing.
We've been trying to add it into like every other category too. It just doesn't work out quite the same way.
Yeah, for darker side it worked really nicely. Just because like the deep woods is the one area in the game that just doesn't get anything added to it from moon rocks. So it's perfectly fine to do it on the first visit like he did, to get enough moons to leave, and then leave everything at the top of the kingdom here for the second visit.
That little spin pound strat at the top is completely unnecessary, but it's always fun. Now, just like all the other bosses, this is a pretty linear fight, but there is just one tiny thing that we can do to kind of make this go a little bit faster for us, and it has everything to do with our friend, the Speedy Nut Boy. Now, when you first capture this guy, typically when you jump like this, he'll land back on the ground and he'll kind of stutter for a second, which is really slow. Also, he doesn't jump very far. He's kind of slow right now. But we can use this spawning platform here, and by jumping off of it and jumping onto it in specific ways, suddenly he transforms. He has his very grand metamorphosis into the Speedy Nut Boy. And so now you can see he's jumping like twice as far, and he's not he doesn't have any lag when he hits the ground, so that can speed up this fight quite a bit.
Which I'm not sure where the Speedy Nut Boy name came from, because it's actually an Onion Boy. But
It is.
we've,
pretty sure-
we've just been calling it a Speedy Nut Boy for like 2 years, and nobody questions it.
Honestly, I couldn't tell you either.
I'm pretty sure I might be responsible for this one, actually. I'll take the hit. You can't blame me, though. There's a lot of nuts in the Wooded Kingdom. We still have
That's
to break
true.
a bunch, so...
So now world peace has been achieved.
Finally, after 1 hour and 58 minutes, here we are. That's the last multi-moon we're going to collect, except for the one at the end. But
And that's like kind of a weird term, I guess. Like, it's not that weird, but it's like calling it world peace is interesting. But there's actually one of the achievement moons from Toadette is called Achieve World Peace.
that's true. Yeah.
And it's just, you know, doing all of the bosses.
But now that we've gotten that out of the way, that means that we can open up the Moon Rock. So now that we're down by the Odyssey again, just so happens that the Moon Rock is in this area. But we're going to gather some fast moons down here first. Comboing that bunny and that rock like that is kind of a staple. It's in every category, I think.
Pretty much. And it's like this disorienting thing where most categories, like when they get to Wooded Kingdom on the first visit, that's the first thing they do.
Mhm.
But in Darker Side, it's like 2 hours into the run and you're doing it.
It's not in all rabbits. Checkmate.
True, because you don't need the rock for all rabbits. It's not all rabbits plus rock. Oh, I missed it, but shout outs to going through the little tube in the tree. Now, Wooded Kingdom is like probably equally. It's like Luncheon, I think. It's excellent when everything goes right and horrible when it doesn't.
Oh yeah, this is one of the kingdoms that has the biggest disaster potential.
Totally. For a number of different reasons. The fact that the Deep Woods is always looming directly below you is kind of a deterrent. You don't really want to fall in there because there's no easy way to get out. You can't warp out of the Deep Woods. So any time or any fall in the Deep Woods is like minutes of time lost, and that's not fun. But aside from that, also there's just a couple other things that we'll probably just touch on as we approach them. Specifically that bird cycle that I was talking about in Seaside. There's one that makes a pretty prominent appearance here, and it's pretty risky for more than just the fact that you can miss the bird. Now, this jump is always fun to show people. This is definitely the intended way to get over here, guys.
Yeah, so like doing that jump is super useful because normally to get to the very top of the kingdom, you have to like do this really slow timer challenge thing that doesn't even give you a moon, and it puts you at the top, and then you're supposed to take Glidon and fly over to Toad there, and then like the pipe takes you back because it's like you just came from the top of the kingdom. Let's just take you back there after going to this really remote island with Toad on it. But since that pipe is there and you can get there a much faster way, it gives you access to the top of the kingdom where that checkpoint is. And same thing with like Lost Kingdom. It's just a super useful vantage point to have to get to other areas.
Yeah, just abusing the game's mechanics in ways that they probably didn't want you to do, but makes things a lot faster for us for sure. So we were talking about the Deep Woods. The Deep Woods is actually looming right underneath me here.
It's fine.
It's fine for now. It's fine for now.
Are there any good meme categories in the SMO?
Well, I mean, one of them was incentivized, so we'll be seeing one of those later on.
Right. Other than that one.
Talkative.
Talkatoo. Okay, yeah. So Talkatoo I don't know, like, is it a meme? I guess so. Sort of.
I would say so.
It's a meme.
It's like Talkatu's like a built-in randomizer, pretty
Yeah.
much. So there's a bird that is chilling in every kingdom. His name is Talkatu, and he serves as like a hint feature for players of the game. So if you don't know like where any moons are, you can go to him and he'll tell you the name of a moon, which can kind of give you a hint as to where it might be. So we decided to make a category where every moon you collect has to be recommended by Talkatu. So you have to like, he'll give you up to three moons at a time. So you have to go have him tell you 3 moons, go collect those moons, and then come back to Talkatu and get 3 more moons until you have enough to leave the kingdom.
Yeah.
Pretty good meat category.
As you'd imagine,
Sounds kind of fun.
Completely RNG.
Yes. And there are a
That's
couple
not,
of
it could be a fun race category.
there are a
Yeah,
couple of
that's
restrictions to it.
primarily how people do it. They race it.
Yeah. Also, Burbs in the chat. So this is the Burb cycle that we were talking about a moment ago. Basically, right after that warp happened, the bird starts flying from his initial starting position, and this category has been routed in such a specific way that if I mess up more than like 2 or 3 seconds, the bird is not going to be where I want him to be. So all of this is happening against the clock, essentially. But yeah, Talkatu is really fun. The kind of caveats of that category is that he will only give you 3 at a time, and different phases of the kingdom will have different moons. So like it can be part of the strategy to like not progress to world peace, or maybe do. Story moons will never be given either. So it can be to your benefit to get story moons if your RNG isn't good, for example. But yeah, it's a pretty fun category, and it's got burbs in it, so I'm kind of a big fan.
There was a really unfortunate thing that could happen where you could get seed locked. Because like the seeds take 20 minutes to grow, and if he would give you like in Sand Kingdom 3 moons that are all seeds, because there's 3 seeds in that kingdom, we used to think that you were just kind of stuck and you had to wait for the seeds to grow, but then we realized that you can just change the switch clock to be 20 minutes later and the seed will be fully grown, and that's another kind of embarrassing thing that took us like a year and a half to figure out, and it's actually useful for some categories as well.
It is, yeah.
So when are we going to talk about Chinese then?
Well, yeah, that's the more recent one. We've been saying that Japanese is the fastest language for like any percent in every other category this whole time, but somebody character counted every text box that's in any percent, and
Oh my god.
turns out Chinese is faster by like 2 seconds.
All right, so we caught that burb in the midair, but I actually didn't accomplish the cycle quite as fast as I wanted to. Usually what I try and do is snipe him out of the air, but I was a little bit too slow. So also the deep woods is directly underneath us there too. I've definitely lost runs to just diving directly into the deep woods trying to get that burp, so had to take it a little bit safe there.
It's a scary one.
Are you gonna get the fabled Bullet William clip?
I hope so. Do it for Kerbis.
I got it the other day, and I was so happy because I hadn't got it in forever.
Yeah, I think I've only got it 3 times ever. So there's a clip that can happen. He's going to take this Bullet William. Yes, that's the technical term.
Definitely
didn't work out. If you run it directly into the moon, something about like being forced out of the capture from running into the wall as well as grabbing the moon at the same time like pushes you up into the ceiling. And you can save like a second by being on top instead of having to come all the way around the wall. But it's like really hard. We're not entirely sure how it works.
Yeah, it's not something anybody really goes for specifically. You just kind of hope.
Yep. Almost like an Easter egg in your speedruns.
Yeah, we like kind of think that you have to come at it at an angle and I don't know, do some voodoo magic. We're not really sure. It just happens sometimes.
I still can't believe someone counted every character in every text box for a 2-second time save.
See, now that's the beautiful thing.
I think it started off as a feeling, and then they just had to do the math to prove it.
The beautiful thing about Odyssey is like, I couldn't say definitively, but it has to be like pretty close to the biggest speedrun community that has ever existed for any game. The resources out there are just absolutely insane. Like the amount of energy that has been poured into this community to learn how to to speedrun it is crazy. And some people, where is this moon? There you go. Some people have gone to great lengths to just like really figure out what the absolute fastest thing is. Like TAS doesn't exist in its full capacity because there isn't an emulator that can reliably do motion controls, for example. So the community has taken it upon themselves to create what's called the best theoretical timesheet. So, you know, imagine a community is getting together to create a like sum of best for what, you know, like who can finish Cap Kingdom the fastest. Now that's fine, but they've taken it one step beyond, and it's like basically section to section, moon to moon, trying to grind down each individual like 5 to 10 second segment to try and figure out what the human theory is, essentially, for Super Mario Odyssey. And they've done it for World Peace, or sorry, not World Peace, they've done it for Any Percent, and they've done it for Darker Side now as well.
Yeah, definitely there's no shortage of just insanely dedicated people in the Odyssey community. It's a really cool thing. Very fortunate, not many speedrun communities have that level of just like insane dedication
and numbers too. There's so many people who have speedrun this game. The leaderboard for Any Percent is like, I think there's over 1,500 different names.
1,848.
See, that's insane.
My God.
And you know, this category, Any Percent's not short either. It's an hour long. Like there are like other Mario games you maybe are only running for like 10 minutes, some of them. But this one is an hour long and it still has almost that many, like almost 2,000 runners, right? So
like I don't even think let's see what's the SMB Any Percent.
I want to say
that one.
I want to say it struck a chord with a lot of people that grew up with like 64, and they just really wanted to play it a lot. So there were just an influx of runners.
Yeah, to me, this is like this quote unquote sequel to Mario 64 that I always wanted.
Well, even Any Percent for Mario 1 doesn't have 1,000.
the only one I can think of that might have just as many is 16 Star for Super Mario 64.
Yeah, I think 16 Star has slightly more.
I would not be shocked if it did. 16 has... No, it's 800.
Well, it's like split across different subcategories by like platform.
Oh, it is.
And some of those names are probably crossed too. It'd probably be pretty hard to figure it out exactly, but
yeah,
it's still a lot of
Yeah.
runners. I'd like to take a moment to point out that my moon count is currently at ... We've achieved the part where like the game just decided to stop counting because we've collected too many.
So you need to get about 700, correct? From the end of the actual main game to now, or to the end of this.
Oh wait,
Is that right?
For Darker Side, we need 500 total. So,
500. 800 is the whole game.
Yeah, 880 is how many there are like in complete total of the game.
Yeah, he had
So
about
you're getting just over
150 at the end
over
of the
350 then.
Yeah.
How are you keeping track of that number? Or is it just the route is so ingrained?
It's basically just the routing.
Yeah, you can't keep track even if you wanted to, just because the game stops counting, and we're only like halfway through the painting chain.
It's like an inbuilt though kind of self-check. Like if you know where it stops counting, you'll know if you've missed something before then.
Yeah.
Right.
Which, I mean, in
But
Darker
other
Side
than
just
that,
so happens, and All Moons, I guess, kind of suffers from it as well, is like, in the painting chain, you don't really know. Like, if you've missed a moon before the painting chain or after, you can usually tell. And if it was during, you can tell, but you just kind of have to guess from there.
There's another kind of built-in check of when you're in Seaside Kingdom, you collect your 250th moon of the run, and when that happens, Cappy like displays, he like
Oh, that's true.
talks to Mario, displays a little text box saying like, "Hey, we have enough to unlock the next kingdom, which is the dark side."
Oh, that's
So-
right. Yeah.
When you see that text box pop up like on the same moon, you know like up to that point you have the correct amount.
I forgot about that.
But yeah, outside of that, there's not really any way to know until you dump the moons into the Odyssey, which is in a few kingdoms.
You'll kind of know. I feel like when you run this enough times, you just get that sense of,
Yeah.
something feels wrong.
Your
Yeah.
splits are a pretty
Yeah.
good indicator. Like, if you're missing 15 seconds from a kingdom all of a sudden, you're like, wow, I golded that by 15 seconds. Usually that's a pretty good indicator that you've done something wrong.
Yeah.
Hey, do the tree and cactus count towards your? They count towards your captured goal, right?
Yep.
Yes,
Hello.
Where is there another pine tree that's not in deep woods?
Oh, that's
There
the
isn't.
only one. Yeah.
it's the only one now.
And
And
There's
that's the
also
only
rock and
capturable cactus as well.
How did you not hit that?
It's like 4 times too.
Yeah.
It really had
No,
it out for me.
Deep Woods not only has a tree, it has a rock capture, but you don't get it in this run.
Yeah, there's actually a good number of captures that are unique one-time only things. There's like the puzzle block in Lake Kingdom as well.
Mario puzzle piece part, Goomba puzzle
Yeah.
piece part.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you not get that one in this run, or did I miss something?
No, you
no,
don't.
you don't get those. You
Oh,
only
okay.
need, what is it, 35?
Yeah, I think so. It's either
And
30 or
there's-
35. I think it's 35.
30 or 35, and there's 52 in the game. Yeah, there's the Bowser statue, which is literally just, here's a moon under it.
Mm-hmm.
Where is the Bowser statue at again? I don't remember.
It's in the moon cave.
Right.
This is another little cycle. Kind of a fun one to manage. See if I can get the trick that's associated with this one. But as soon as we've done that warp, we have to get all
Yeah,
these music notes.
If you do this one perfectly, it kind of lines up in a perfect way that you're able to grab this moon and then fall onto the bullet bill to jump up to the platforms above you to skip going around to the side.
Yeah, just like that.
Really nice to do that moon after a warp because you always get that cycle consistently.
Exactly. I did not actually know that you could fast talk to Peach here. I thought that was just kind of a shot in the dark. But so the camera snapped. As soon as I started talking to Peach, the camera snapped. That's because I went into first-person mode. I've actually been doing it all throughout this run. But some interactions with NPCs, well, actually all of the interactions with NPCs, the camera will do like a little slow pan to the place that it needs to be before the character starts interacting with Mario. But if you go into first person, sometimes you could skip the pan and it'll just like snap the camera immediately. It also happened like when I talked to that sign. So that just saves, 0.2, 0.3 seconds here and there.
You'll see it a lot in Toadette.
Yes, Toadette just so happens to be one of those NPCs that does react in that way. So obviously, if you save 0.2 seconds every time you talk to Toadette, 31 interactions
For Toadette,
later.
it's like 12 seconds that you save.
It's crazy.
And that's just on Toadette. That's not any of the other NPCs in the game.
And we spoke to Jaxie at the very, 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 very beginning of the game. He was just chilling in town when Night Sand was a thing. We paid him 30 coins, and we're definitely getting our money's worth, you could say, because he darts around.
That's a one-time fee.
Yeah, one-time fee, and then he pops up wherever the closest warp is, but we can also just activate him by talking to the signs.
You know what's funny? I actually recently learned there's a glitch where you don't have to pay him.
Really?
Really?
Yes, because when I was doing Coinless, you can nudge him to all the way, like you can make him kind of enter this moving glitch state, and you can move him all the way to the moon by the oasis, and then you can get on him. But as soon as you jump off, you can't ride him again.
I see.
But it is possible.
The more you know.
It blew my mind. Yeah, I mean, I've been playing this game since it came out, and I still learn new things every once in a while. It just blows my mind.
Kind of just broke that timer challenge a little bit there. I don't think the game was intending for you to get inside the timer challenge when you activate it, but, speedrunners got to do things like that sometimes. So. Now,
Don't forget to hit the sheep.
Yeah, if I don't hit the sheep, this run is over, so it's very important. We have to take our revenge for all of the terrible All Moons runs I've had to do in my life. They were awful.
If you don't hit the sheep, the run is cursed, and if you hit the sheep twice on accident, the run is also cursed.
Yeah. Odd numbers of sheep abuse only.
Yeah.
Some sub-areas are really boring, like this one, but we're approaching Metro Kingdom, and we're approaching Lake after that, and some of the best sub-areas are in those ones, so...
I like this one.
That one's just kind of visually cool because Like, you're supposed to capture the Moai, and it shows you where the invisible platforms are. But if you just know where they are, you don't really need to capture them.
Yep.
And you also can kind of just avoid jumping over the purple areas anyways, if you really want to. Other than for grabbing the first move.
Had to throw Glidon in the purple poison. It's okay, we'll get a taste of our own medicine soon.
He landed on the invisible platform, he's fine. I don't know if that's true. I'm just telling myself that.
Yeah, it's what I want to believe. A lot of the ground pound moons today are not treating me very nice.
Yeah, that one seemed really bizarre. Felt like you didn't even move for the second one.
And then we're just going to get a taste of our own medicine here, launch ourselves into the purple poison. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Okay, I'm going to try something here. This is kind of new for me. Let's see if this works.
You always love to hear that in a marathon.
Yeah. Maybe it did. We'll see.
Oh yeah.
Score.
This
Let's go.
trick is. I'm not good at this trick. I can't do it. It's really cool though.
So this is actually new to Darker Side because IP skip didn't used to be a thing, but we get that alcove moon earlier on. And so that means that we don't have to go into the alcove to do it, so we can do some fancy bullet bill juggling strats like that. And now we're in Metro. Metro's pretty fun. I think that there's a lot of sub areas in this kingdom, and some of them get additions from the Moon Rock. A lot of them are really fast.
Metro is the end of like the really tough stretch of the run, I think, personally. Like the wooded to Santa Metro segment is just crazy hard.
Because there's a lot of moons. You got to traverse all the big kingdoms. This big kingdom, big kingdom, big kingdom, like back to back to back, right? So it does give you a little bit of a break. I would say that Lake has like really tough sub areas, but it's not so bad. And then when you finally get out of the painting chain, you kind of have to worry a little bit again because both Cap and Lost are pretty punishing as well.
And then you get to come back to luncheon.
Yep.
Wooded Sand and Metro are hard, but they're my three favorite kingdoms, so it ends up being my favorite part of the run anyway.
In this section, you got to worry about the taxi cycles too, which unfortunately, if you're going fast, they kind of get in your way.
Classic scooter clip, which basically like was born. It was a strategy that was born like when I started running this game back in like April of 2018, or at least that's when people started using it in runs. But a little known mechanic of the scooter is that you can use motion controls to make it tilt a little bit further to the left or right. So by tilting our controller basically upside down and then just nudging it over with the control stick, we get Mario's fat nose just far enough in the cage where we don't actually have to capture the scooter guy. Or the RC car guy, I mean. Also, this timer challenge is, that's definitely the way that they want you to do it. They just kind of give you some flashy platforms for no reason. And there was a strategy to do the slots before that involved, like, leaving Cappy off to the left side and then like running over to the right in order to get them, but when this particular moon got incorporated into any percent, we found out that you could just nail them all with a spin throw instead. And it's just a little bit faster. Spin throws, by the way, are a motion control thing. If you want to do a spin throw, you have to like basically what I do is I slap my controller. That's not a very common way to do it, but
I'm team bus driver.
Yeah, I think that the spin throw trap for the slots room came about because of it going into any percent.
I think you're
And
right.
they were just looking for a way to optimize that a bit further.
Also,
Yeah, that tends to happen.
I hate to
Yeah, pretty much.
I hate to destroy the Odyssey talk, but the sound defense literally just hit us with 20 gift subs. Shout outs to you, dude.
Unbelievable. That man's gifted, I think he'll say it. Well, no, that's for the channel. Yeah, for this channel, he's given us over 121 gift subs. Like, that's just nuts.
So shout outs to sound defense for. I imagine that those also go to the charity as well. So thank you guys for supporting the stream, dudes.
Dang, I'm sad there's no more standing on the box for Peach strats.
Was that another claim to fame, Kerbis?
I don't think so. I don't think I came up with that. I just thought it was funny.
Yeah. It's funny because I used to do that all the time with Peach. Is like I would actually just go up to the top and talk to her there. And then as soon as I started implementing it, people were like, oh yeah, getting the Cafe Moon is faster the second visit. Okay. Guess that's the end of my standing on crates career. So this is a sub area that does actually get a little bit of an addition when you open up the moon rock. That dude with the cappy hat on is not in here on the regular visit. So
Yeah, I think the intended way to figure that out in casual play is you'll come back in and Cappy will say there's a moon here.
yeah.
And I guess from that you're just supposed to infer something. But it's very devious, that one.
Yeah, it actually might not be super obvious, but every kingdom has at least one just like resident of the kingdom that is wearing a hat that happens to have a bonneter on their head. You can just see the eyes. And they'll give you a moon if you talk to them.
So we've actually been to this little commemorative park before. You'll remember this is where the bassist was playing. The reason that we didn't get the little moon inside the rubbish over there is because of all the moons that we can collect here. By leaving this for later, we actually kind of increase the value of the moons that are over here. We get to wait for the dog who's digging up stuff and the bird that flies by.
Yeah, you always have to lead the dog to that first spot before he'll go to the place where he digs up the moon. So it takes a little while.
This climb is, it's pretty cool looking. I just know that it's really easy to mess. If you bonk once and you keep trying to do that climb, you're gonna bonk every single time.
Yep, you get it the first time or you don't get it at all.
Yeah.
All right, so you see that I kind of kamikazed the scooter off the cliff here. That was on purpose. There's actually a little parking spot available for this scooter chilling right here. And we were able to get the trash moon kind of on the in-between. You get swag points if you land the scooter like exactly in the parking spot too, so. It's been a while since I've done that though. It's kind of hard. This is another one of my like kind of mildly satisfying sub areas. I don't know why. I get a kick out of doing this one.
It's a good one.
Oh, except when that happens. I don't know why that guy decided to get in my way. And we're actually almost done with Metro. Metro always kind of takes me by surprise. I feel like it should be longer than it is. But we're in and out of here pretty darn quick.
Yeah, it's probably because there's a lot more slower moons, I feel like, in Metro.
Yeah, a lot of this, like I said earlier, Metro has a ton of sub areas, but a lot of them are kind of slow. So, like, Danger just did a few of them, but there's like 10 other sub areas that just don't get used in this category.
This is a sub area that does get used, though.
It's fast enough for any percent. So that's a good indicator.
I did not get the fast cycle though. I maybe had an input eaten at the beginning, but that's okay. There's also, basically there's a strat where you can capture this bullet bill above me here as he's flying by. But I'm just going to have to back it up by doing that. No big deal. Probably like 2 or 3 seconds lost for that.
The less pulls you can use, the better. Those things
Yes.
suck. Also, this is one of the points in the run where you have to really fight the urge to not dump your moves into the Odyssey.
Yes. You warped the Odyssey, but you don't use it. Not yet. A couple more paintings to go through. I like Lake Kingdom.
Go on, sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, I like Lake Kingdom in this category. The only thing that I don't like about it is the RNG that's coming up here, but...
Yeah, of the 3 fishing moons that you do, this one is definitely the worst.
I would agree. I've had the sand one ignore me for some reason, but this one, like, typically runs into a wall. He actually,
That's a pretty good lake fish.
honestly, was the nicest he's been to me in all of history, so I'm glad you guys were here to witness that.
It's like best case scenario right there. Yeah, normally it's like running into the wall, and it's just like impossible.
He knew that we were ragging on him, so he's like, fine, jeez, I'm sorry. And these moons are kind of nicely lined up for us before we arrive at our moon rock.
Lake gets barely any moons. Lake is like the tiniest kingdom. I think Lost is like physically smaller, but it has more moons.
Yeah. But it does have this burp. That's one of my favorite burps. It's not my favorite when I miss him, but... Oh yeah, Goombas have really weird mechanics in their momentum, so I was able to hop on the stairs and then just kind of like launch myself forward there. We'll be using weird Goomba momentum later on too. I like Lake in Darker Side because it includes 2 of my favorite sub-areas. They didn't used to be my favorite sub-areas, but when you do them fast, they're definitely a lot of fun.
Yeah, this is maybe the coolest, one of the coolest looking sub-areas in the whole game when done perfectly.
Actually, you only do 2 sub-areas here, right?
Yeah.
So I guess I already know which 2 they are.
So, in my opinion, easier to do this room without a frog in the first place, because with the frog, you kind of have to time how high the frog's jumps are against these poison waves. But if you do that...
Frogs have really weird momentum too. Like, if you try to jump forward from a standstill, you'll barely go anywhere.
And this little timer challenge here. Shoutouts to Timpani for this strat, actually. I saw Timpani do that once.
It's my favorite because it actually uses a spin jump. You like never see spin jump strats in this game?
Yeah, it's like there in the Bowser sub area, where it's not even technically optimal.
I still do it anyways, because...
Yeah, it's just way too consistent.
Nat, if you guys have been paying attention, is the moon that we got, or yeah, the moon that appeared because of the hint art in Metro Kingdom, and it wouldn't be there if we didn't look at the picture, so it's a good thing I remembered.
Yeah, hint art moons are always the color of the kingdom that the hint art is in as well, because like that counts as a moon for the Metro, or yeah, for the Metro Kingdom. If you go into the moon list, it'll be in Metro Kingdom's list, not Lake Kingdom's. And every kingdom has its own color of moon.
That moon's always really awkward because of the camera, but we got it. We made it happen.
Yeah, I've just kind of started shaking. So I know I'll hit it, since the cheap shake box is just massive.
That's true. come back out here, gather another cheap. Because this lady really likes cheaps. I mean, I can't blame her.
Classic Moonrock Moon, just hanging in the air somewhere.
Yep. I mean, if you weren't paying attention and you weren't looking at that wall, maybe it would be hard to find. I don't know. But then you could also just see it on the map, so...
I think the goal is you're supposed to use the cheap.
To jump up there, yeah, that would make sense.
Because it's called High Flying Leap.
Well, I mean, we did leap.
Yeah, it's either that or the flower, because there's a flower there too. I don't know. Some moons... I mean, there's also the one that you got earlier in sand on top of the tree called Mighty Leap from the Palm Tree. So, couldn't tell you.
I'm so glad you do the good movement in this room.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite sub-areas when it goes right as well.
Like, you're supposed to grab onto that wall, and there's like the little ledges you can cling to and kind of shimmy across. But you can make that jump all the way around the corner. Yeah, just barely with a wall jump and some cap stalling and stuff.
I actually didn't know you could make it with a long jump. I thought I had to vector a triple. I might try it now that I know.
Yeah. No, the long jump's a lot easier. I think the vector triple is like faster, but a lot harder.
Yeah.
And now we're back in Luncheon. And Luncheon is, before we get to Mushroom, the last stop on our painting chain. But we're actually going to do a little bit of something in Luncheon. We're going to split it in half. The Luncheon ends up being the one kingdom that we revisit 3 times. Or we visit a total of 3 times. And just like, you know, choosing Wooded first, it has a really convoluted reason that only saves like 3 seconds. But, you know, it's... Time save is time save, right?
Yeah, so like the way the painting chain works is you have to visit one kingdom 3 times for this category. It used to be Mushroom Kingdom because we'd like go through the full painting chain, wind up back in Mushroom after Luncheon, and then go do like the small kingdom revisits that don't have paintings, and then come back to Mushroom to get the achievements at the end. But instead, do some stuff in Luncheon. There was a warp to the Odyssey built into the Luncheon route. Dump your moons at that point and go do the other revisits, and then come back to Luncheon for the 3rd visit and make your way to the painting and go to Mushroom. And the reason doing Luncheon 3 times instead of Mushroom 3 times is better is because every time you dump your moons in the Odyssey, if you are at like a total moon interval of 20, it'll unlock a new outfit. So the way just like the moon dump counts work from like Luncheon, Cap, and Lost, and Moon workout, you get 1 less notification that you've unlocked a new outfit, which is like 2.5 seconds. So yeah, it's just like ridiculous.
Never mind the way I just did that room, by the way. We're just gonna pretend that didn't happen.
You're doing great.
You're doing great, sweetie.
I just remember the day that Neo came up with the route to do 3 Luncheon visits, and just like him typing this all out in Discord and explaining why it's faster, and I was just like my head hurt.
Yeah, that was a real big brain moment. Neo is big brain though. And then we tried to make
Luncheon 4.
Yeah. Shoutouts to Neo, by the way. Neo, honestly, and I see Spike Vegeta in the chat, actually. The 2 of them together probably account for probably like 80 to 90% of what this route looks like today.
Oh, yeah. Spike was the one who came up with the first like really good Darker Side route, and Neo's made a ton of improvements that still largely uses his base of the route he came up with, but he's made a lot of good improvements that has made it what it is today. But those 2 have definitely put in the most work by far of anyone of routing this category, so shoutouts to them.
I didn't quite make it, but that's okay.
I hate this jump.
Used to be what we would do is we would wait for the timer to finish and try and like not take any damage from the lava at all, but it actually ends up being a little bit faster to not wait for Cappy to come back.
I'm glad. Because I feel like that was harder,
It was harder.
to be honest.
Yeah.
All right, so this is the moon dump. It's just for like 30 seconds long of moons piling into the Odyssey.
I'm just gonna take a moment and, stretch my legs and watch the glory of the last 2 hours.
Oh, the other reason Luncheon Moon Dump is amazing is because Luncheon has the best moon color. And even though those all came from different kingdoms, whatever kingdom you're in when you dump is what color the moons are.
Yeah, and the blue ones are quite good.
Except in Mushroom, because stars don't go into the Odyssey for some reason.
True.
They're just like yellow moons.
Wait. What's a star?
Already are. It's weird that it works that way.
All right. So now we take a little visit to the kingdoms that aren't connected to the painting chain. And those are Cap and Lost and Moon. And
Yeah.
they're fun. I would say that Cap 2 and Lost 2 probably, they're some of the hardest kingdoms. They're some of the most punishing.
Personally, I don't think Cap 2 is that bad, other than this jump. I'm chilling once I get past this jump, usually.
There are a couple other, death-defying jumps. They're just not quite as hard, I guess.
Right.
This one definitely is the scary one.
Lost is definitely by far the scariest thing about, the last hour of the run to me.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. It's very fun, though, I feel. When you just get it right. Super fun kingdom. This one.
But yeah, there's a couple death-defying jumps in this one that make it really fun. Also, the tightest burb cycle that exists in the run. It always is quite satisfying when I get it. So hopefully we can. I'll definitely need your burbs in the chat for that one. That was not the movement that I wanted to do, Mario, but okay. So this is another death-defying jump. Kind of looks like I'm just jumping out into the middle of space. But making that timer challenge appear just in the right moment reveals these blocks, and it's a little bit faster.
Skips a half cycle of those pillars rising and lowering. You can get back to the mainland quicker.
Exactly.
Okay, just another quick question.
Yeah.
You guys were talking a lot about cycles. How much of this game is on a global timer?
Global, nothing really.
Or I guess within
within the kingdom, it's usually just birds and certain platforms that move back and forth.
Yeah, but it's
and I don't know, it's kind of weird because it's not universal. Some birds aren't on global cycles. They only move when you're close enough to them and looking at them. So it's kind of just case by case.
Yeah. There are some things that don't exist if you're not looking at them, so cycles can be manipulated by which way you're turning the camera. Global cycles that I can think of is the taxis in Metro Kingdom is one of the few things that is, but all global cycles reset on warps. So
because you had mentioned the 2D bullet bill tower in sand.
Yeah, that's one that I think. Actually, I'm not sure. That one might not be running if you're not close enough to it.
I know that the cars and taxis in the sky, when you look through binoculars, are on global, because if you're slow to make it to binoculars, the car you need to look at will be in a different position.
I didn't know that. But yeah, I think the bullet bills in the 2D section are one that they don't move unless you're close enough to them.
Yeah, this game is just very odd.
all right.
A lot of very camera dependent stuff.
That makes sense. That's what I would expect from something like this.
Yeah. And it all resets on deaths or on warps. Speaking of
so
which,
that death right there, he's on the bird cycle right now.
Yeah, the burp cycle did initiate now because of that death.
In some places, it's definitely probably more necessary when you look at places like Metro that actually still lag. So just removing things when they're not in view makes a lot of sense in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of hecked up my bird cycle by bonking on that platform, but we can still get him. It'll just be not quite the flashiest way that I wanted to show off. If you're fast enough, you kind of give him a little bit of a rundown, and you can catch him in a more optimal place, but this will have to do. But yeah, this is the burp that actually does play football with you. If you're not careful, he can duke you out and start going the other way.
Generally, you kind of want to approach him from behind.
If you can help it, or like directly head on and you've got some momentum.
Yeah.
So I'm actually just going to catch this burb right here, which I'll have to do.
Yeah, if you're absolutely fast as possible, you can do this Notes Moon before catching the bird. And you do have to kind of chase it down a little bit still. It's super tight.
Yeah.
You really can't make any mistake at all to catch that cycle.
Yeah, and you'd end up catching him like right in between where this next sign that I'm going to here, the danger sign, and like the mainland. So you can kind of just combo these together really nicely, but I was too slow.
In this case, if you would have tried to do that, the bird would have been like all the way on the other side of the Odyssey by now.
He'd be long gone. But that's no big deal. Catch a little bun, and we're right by the Odyssey, so it's time to leave. Pack it up.
Do a nice little circle around that entire kingdom. Works out nicely.
And into Lost.
Another one down.
Goody.
Yeah.
Another one down for the All Rabbits run.
Oh, I forgot there was no text there. I got hecked. See, this is what Luncheon 3 does.
Yeah.
Time save.
So this kingdom is pretty scary just because of the purple poison everywhere, but we're really going to tempt fate this entire second visit, really. Just to be a little shot moon. And you'll notice we have like 237 coins, which is good.
Yeah.
I think we have one more shot moon to buy. You end up collecting about 1,200 coins the way that I, just kind of going through the game like this. The Toadette moon is 1,000, and you probably need like 900, I think, to buy all the moons you need in this route. So coins are pretty generous. Like, you don't really have to worry.
I was gonna say, especially at this point in the run, if you feel like you're short, there's the Captain Toad coin set, and there's actually 2 Hintots in this kingdom. So you can grab that out of the way. So it's like, even if you were somehow short, you'd have a backup, so to speak.
And Danger's just going to spend most of the next couple minutes just floating over poison goop.
Yep. Like I said, tempting fate. This is kind of the safe part, but it ramps up really, really quick in just a second here. I'm pretty sure this is not how you're supposed to get Captain Toad, but in fact, the Rainbow Wigglers, they try their best, but they're really not very useful for a whole lot of anything in this run.
I mean,
the one in that cave is just vibing, walking back and forth, though. He's chilling. He doesn't mind.
It's like, yeah, I'm having a good day.
Yeah, they actually just don't get used at all. They're supposed to be used for, like, all of these moons in this area.
Yep.
But they're just too slow.
Speedrunners are too good of platformers for these boys. It's too sad.
And, like, they're even pretty fast. Like, with the motion controls, they can go from, like, their shortened self to fully extended in, like, less than half a second.
I know a lot of runners still use the Wiggler for this moon coming up.
Yeah, it's just like a safety strat to this Notes Moon, but you can spin throw and get all of them perfectly
Spin.
fine as well.
Spin to win, baby.
Yep. Yeah, like you're supposed to use it for the notes, you're supposed to use it for those shards, you're supposed to use it to get to Captain Toad, you're supposed to use it to get this bunny.
Yeah, because stretching across the entire platform helps kind of block off his
Yeah.
options, but you can just kind of do that.
I think the Notes moon is one of my favorite moons in this kingdom. Maybe if not the game. Just love seeing it done without the wiggle.
There's a lot of like doing unintended stuff in Lost, to be honest. Like you're supposed to hit those stairs down before you give your cap off, but if you're fast enough with a triple jump, you can just kind of do it all in the same cycle, which is really cool.
Yeah, I mean, like if you're using the wiggler, it's a lot harder to fall in the goop generally, because if you just stretch out between places, you can't move unless you have solid ground underneath you.
Right.
So it's a lot easier if you're doing it casually, but obviously this isn't casual play, so
Pretty solid loss too.
Yeah, it actually felt really good. We are going to get a little bit of information text here. Now, just one more revisit to Moon before we can come back to luncheon.
So yeah, Moon is like barely worth it as a revisit because you only get 5 moons here, and you have to travel here with the Odyssey, but you kind of get 6 moons out of it because one of the 5 moons is a tourist moon, and then it also spawns the tourist in Mushroom Kingdom. And also all 5 moons you get are literally right next to the Odyssey.
Yeah, they're all, if we wouldn't come here if it wasn't for, well, kind of the progression, like getting another moon for free because of the tourist who, you know, somehow made it to the moon. Kudos to him. But also because, yeah, they're all just so closely huddled to the Odyssey. It's kind of crazy.
I honestly want to say if even one of these moons didn't exist, we probably wouldn't come here.
Yeah, you're probably right.
I mean, since the wedding's over, we need to continue the tourist lore at least.
Yeah, we gotta have some lore to keep this run going.
True, true.
And I mean, that'll do it. That's our moon revisit.
Making close to home percent runners proud.
Yeah, that's right.
The good thing about the tourist lore in this category is even if you don't go back to Sand, you just know he's gone home, and that's what's most important.
Exactly. We send him home. We'll check up on him another time. So yeah, this is like the last major kingdom in the run. After this, it's just going to Mushroom and kind of cleaning up a couple moons there, getting all the achievement moons, and then we'll be at 500.
Just like that. And Luncheon does not come without its fun sub-areas. This one is no exception.
Yeah, so you're supposed to use a cannon to shoot up to this platform in the middle, but you can jump up with your Podobo there and
leave him there.
Keep it alive to recapture it.
Yeah, exactly. Which, I don't know if I made that look easy. I always kind of like clench a little bit when I have to do this moon. That's the sub area.
Yeah. Because to keep it alive, you have to kind of place it. To keep it alive and be able to jump up to the middle platform, you have to place a kind of precise spot close to the ledge. Take out the spiny for good measure.
Mm-hmm. Always. They made me lose time in Bowser's Kingdom. I can't have that.
It took a little while, but you got your revenge.
Dangers never forgets. I watched Curb do this little capture warp strat to get the Goombas the very first time.
It's
a good strat.
I've learned it's very generous.
It is very generous, yeah. Your cap could be like in Argentina and you would still manage to capture all the Goombas. This is another section for me that just seems like natural progression. Like all of these moons are in such a clean little line. It just makes sense to get them all like this.
And this section has a giant rolling corn on the cob, so
Yeah, you can't go
Pretty-
wrong with that.
pretty good part of the game.
And also a heckin' banger of a song. So what is it that Toad asks for here? Something to do with a monster, right?
Yeah, something to do with like transforming into a scary monster. So
Yeah.
these Toad music moons, they generally have multiple options you can pick. There's two. Maybe there's more that work for this, but there's two that work. One is the music that plays when you capture a dinosaur, and the other is the music that plays when you capture Bowser. Which the song that is the dinosaur music is one less input to select, but you can't deny the banger that plays when
Yeah,
you
can we
capture
get
Bowser.
some sour please in the chat, actually?
There
And we get
is
to listen
one
to this
more that
song for
does-
the rest of the kingdom.
There is, I believe, only one other song that works, and it's the 8-bit version,
True.
Oh, okay, yeah.
which is also a banger, by the way.
I imagine the escape sequence music might work too. Like the part
There's
before.
like a...
Maybe. I haven't tried that, actually.
Isn't there like the Japanese version of this song?
There's
Yeah,
that
it'll
too,
probably
yeah.
work too, yeah. All versions work, I'm sure of that, at least.
Yeah.
There's actually quite a few moons in this little town area, so we're just gonna kind of wrangle them all up.
Yeah, I love... One of my favorite things about Lunch and Revisit is how it just... A lot of it feels pretty seamless.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
And for everyone asking about Overall's Peach, she's coming up soon here.
Right here. It's gonna be a yeehaw from me, dog.
For the Peach loyalist crowd.
Yes, there's the emote. He's been waiting this whole run for that.
Another kind of funny routing thing is we used to go from that turnip moon up to this. We just like did movement with Mario to get up here, but at one point realized it's just faster to use that cannon.
It's also nice because it's like...
It's way easier.
It's a lot more just consistent because Mario movement you can always mess up.
It's true.
It's just literally fly in the air.
And then just a couple lava bubble moons here. Make our way over to this island in the back.
Yeah, that moon is one that you have to look at it, or else if you jump up the first time with like the neutral camera, you won't grab the moon because it wasn't on screen for long enough.
Yeah.
So it's like not tangible.
And a lot of moons are like that. Most of the moons are like that, which can be kind of frustrating because, you know, a moon has the property of like stopping you dead in your tracks. So you're kind of expecting it to like keep you in place and you're going to get cap bounce back. But if you're not looking at a moon, sometimes it can just ruin everything because now all of a sudden you're flying through space and you don't know how you got here.
Also get sniped by the pepper.
Yeah, this is always a fun area. Throughout Darker Side's entire like history of routing, the moons that are on this island have been taken out and put in and taken out and put in like a bunch of different ways. And this one, like when this one got taken out, I almost did that damageless.
Yeah, doing that damageless is actually insane. Like, almost never happens because of the patterns of the hammers. There's just so many of them.
But we did it all right. We made it through. Looking pretty as well. Not so bad. And we're back in Mushroom. Oh, that was... I caught the exact corner of that fireplace, which is just awesome. Anyways.
Yep. Walls in Odyssey are... Well...
There's something
it's-
special.
Some walls in particular you can just hit quote-unquote corners in the middle of a wall and you just kind of fall. And
Oh my god, did you just do the impossible spin pound off of the Odyssey?
Maybe.
Also, I just noticed now that when the game's in Chinese, it doesn't display you got a moon in English.
Yeah, it actually displays it in Chinese.
It
Because
doesn't
in
do that for
Japanese,
the,
it still says you got a moon in English, and then it says the moon name in Japanese.
Yep.
Yes, because I think in Japan they substitute a lot of English characters generally in their dialect. So it makes sense.
Our last shop visit. Give these toads with the nice little hats. How do you do on our way out? Okay, bye Cappy. Thank you for that. Okay. And so there's actually a handful of pretty speedy moons in Mushroom that we kind of neglected the first time, and it doesn't really matter if you do them the first visit. Apparently it's like slightly more optimal to do everything in the second
If you
one.
get a good seed throw, it's optimal to do it second visit. Because you can like throw the seed into the pot and then like dive back towards the castle.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's probably like a second faster or something.
And
Overall, you may as well just do it that way for consistency, even if you don't get
Mhm.
it.
yeah, just kind of hope.
Yeah,
that
I tend to do the other way just because I like getting this extra mushroom stuff out of the way early.
That's kind of the thing, is like, especially there was a time where the Goomba jump that's coming up was a real slip up for some people, and every time you miss it, you lose like 20 seconds. So doing it, 2 hours earlier was sometimes kind of a token for some runners, just to make sure that they didn't mess it up late into the
The
run.
trade-off is that you have to do the
Don't know
tiles
what you-
moon at the end.
I don't know what you're talking about. That couldn't be me.
So yeah, I was talking about how Goombas have wonky mechanics, and how you can manipulate their velocity and their movement in really weird ways. Here's an example.
Just landing on a downward slope and you kind of go flying across a gap. And that's not even like the maximum momentum that you can get off of it.
No, I've gone like shooting towards the back wall before.
Yeah, you can like hit the wall before you hit the ground if you get the maximum. It's crazy, which is not optimal, but it can happen.
Yeah, that's movement. That's exactly what I meant to do.
Shoutouts to
Just
Yoshi.
kinda-
We'll see you in a few minutes.
Just rolling on the roof.
And here we are. So, if you guys needed an excuse for a bathroom break, this is the perfect opportunity.
Time for 31 Toadette moons.
Yep, exactly. Now, while this part does seem really slow, because all we're doing is standing in place and talking to Toadette, there's a couple things going on. First of all, we're getting a moon every 7.5 seconds, which is pretty fast. 20 seconds is the threshold, so 7.5 seconds is really fast. So a lot of the routing in this category and a lot of the moon choices that we've made typically have something to do with Toadette. Timer challenges, I think if we miss a timer challenge somewhere in the run, we lose a Toadette moon. If we lose a slots moon, we lose a moon from Toadette. If we lose a 2D moon, we lose a moon from Toadette. So a lot of the routing is taking into consideration the fact that she's going to give us these moons at the end. Some of them are ridiculous. Some of them are like jump 10,000 times. Obviously, we're not going to do that. That's ridiculous.
Also, very important, you can play rock, paper, scissors with Mario here.
Yes.
If you're bored.
So, if you're at home and you decided to opt against the bathroom break, you can be playing rock, paper, scissors at least 25 more times. He will always throw out one of the three, and it's always random. Also, because we're at Toadette, this is kind of the end of the line. This is where our moon collecting journey ends. We have probably 10 more minutes in the run. So if you guys are going to get your donations in for the marathon, now is the chance. I'm going to go ahead and plug that. We are very close to 10,000. And my offer still stands for... Oh, wait. Was I supposed to do something... What was I supposed to do again if we got to 9,000?
You were gonna play volleyball to 100.
Right. Yeah, I can still do that. It would
Y'all,
take
come
a
on.
detour, but we could do it.
If we hit 9K, it's volleyball.
Guys, this could be the world record 505 moon speed run.
Yeah.
Make a new category. It's darker side plus volleyball.
And I mean, if that's what you want to do, that's you know.
Hey, we did
that's
get a
fun
donation.
thing. Hey, it's
Just got one
working.
in.
It's working.
One in the tank. It's from Timpani. Oh, he's in the call. Okay. I'm so damn tired.
This guy's been marathoning for 17 hours, all right?
He gave us $5. I think Nipple percent is after this.
Yes.
I
we do
heard
have-
you need money in that run to go buy the boxers. Here you go.
Yes, true. Thank you, Timpani.
Thank God.
Couldn't have done it without me, I'm sure.
You know, if my splits are telling me the truth, this run it might actually come in under 310, which is not something you see
That's
every
really
day.
good.
That's like better than the second place time.
Yeah.
It's really good with the lost butterfly and the DSS bonks.
That's true, yeah. It was a pretty messy run in some places, but hey, we take that. We take a.
Yeah, no,
free
your
win.
post game was really solid for the most part.
I could be doing. I think that's the thing. Is like Neo has. Neo, we were talking about Neo earlier. Shoutouts to Neo for being kind of the legend of routing this category. And he's got a really, really.
And for holding the record for a while.
Yeah, it's true. He did have that as well. Shoutouts to him for kind of just being the one who. Oh right, that was the end. Being the one to really kind of father this category and make it what it is. You know, I think that this category wouldn't be nearly as tightly routed or nearly as fun to run if it wasn't for some of his innovations. He's a really smart guy when it comes to like piecing together how this game works and like implementing tricks and mechanics into the game in clever ways. So shoutouts to Neo. And like we said, also shoutouts to Spike Vegeta for kind of fathering this category at the very beginning of its life cycle, because like when Odyssey was a brand new speed game, some people had to
Everyone
take
was on the
charge.
any percent train, and Spike was the one who said, "This
Ah,
is the good
Darker
category."
side is where it's at, totally. So we've collected our 500 moons, and Darker Side's opened up to us. And so this is the final gauntlet. And it's really, really hard, Smile. We're definitely going to do all of it. I think we owe it the game to do all of it, right, Smile?
Well, you do, but you're just gonna be a filthy cheater,
Ah, yes.
aren't
We
you?
don't need to talk about that. That's okay.
I'm gonna remember this if you submit next event.
So, in 1.0, which used to be the fastest version of the game, but not anymore, you actually used to be able to manipulate those frogs at the beginning to just kind of swim across the boundary, I guess, like all the way to the island that has the City Hall building on it. That was what was called Frog Skip, and it saved about 2.5 minutes. It just so happens that 1.3 is the fastest version of the game for literally every category now, because don't know what Nintendo did. They added like virtual reality mode with Nintendo Labo, but they also like overclocked all of the loads in the game, and it's not even faster. It's not even faster to play Frog Skip anymore. It's like there's enough
Yeah.
time saved
There's like
to loads.
3 minutes of time save on 1.0 from tricks and stuff, but the loads are literally like they cancel all of that out.
It's crazy.
Wow, they optimized it that much. Holy crap.
It's just you saying when Nintendo introduced VR with Nintendo Labo sounds like such a joke. It's not.
It's actually
I love
the
that there's
truth.
enough of a through line that you can say they introduced VR with Nintendo Labo, and therefore loads got better.
It was like the two things that they patched the game for. It was like, you know, the patch notes were just minor fixes and whatever, but nope, they really changed speedrunners' lives. And it was funny because this all happened when I was at like a, it was called PACE. PACE is like a competitive speedrunning
Yeah.
event, and like
I remember.
all of the major like any percent runners were all in the same place at the same time as this was happening, and we were just like absolutely losing our minds. We were like, the game just changed forever. Holy crap. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's the best kind of time save because it's literally free.
Yeah, we don't even have to do anything to achieve it, and it also kind of opened up this game because it used to be a little bit convoluted to get into. It was popular for forever. But if you wanted to play at a competitive level in the any percent category and even some of the other ones, you had to kind of jump through hoops. You had to have a proper version of the game on a physical cartridge, and you needed to factory reset your Switch if you didn't have that version. It was kind of really just not approachable at the top level. So when the most recent version of the game became the fastest version, it kind of opened it up to new people, which is really great.
Yeah, just download from the eShop and open, and you have the optimal version of the game.
Yeah, it also really helped keep the community from becoming fragmented because everybody just runs on the same version.
Oh my god, I never
just,
knew
like
that.
generally speaking, because it was kind of a mess before. With 1.2, which was the version before, it was faster in some categories, but not others. But now it's just everything is fast on this version. So
Shout
you
out to
just have
Glydon.
people.
Shoutouts to Glydon. And there's a lot of like interesting platforming puzzles going on down there, and I'm sure they're really fun, but like I'm just gonna, I don't know, just feel like going for a little glide. Glydon's my buddy, alright?
Yeah. So that tornado danger's entered. If you just shake as you're entering it, you get insane height out of it, and you can just fly over all of this, which Nintendo tried to prevent. They made it so that if you get to a certain point and you're still in the Glydon capture, it like forces you out. But it's just like a box or a cylinder around the center of that area, and if you are either further to the left or right or above it, it will kick you out of the capture. You can just fly over everything.
Saves having to do the second half of the darker side, which is arguably harder.
Hardest trick in the run, you skip.
Yeah, no you.
You know what the gliding reminded me a lot of? It looked like what do you call it? Like caping in Mario World, where if you pop up in the right intervals, you don't really lose height.
Kinda, yeah. Except with motion controls, because motion
There's
controls are great.
I was gonna say the parallel actually is there's actually a glitch with Glydon where you can actually gain height. Like
Really?
Right, yeah.
yeah.
You like get a skewed angle and you can gain height. Also, I know it's in Chinese, but Cappy's giving a very emotional speech as Mario climbs the tower here.
Like if you cry every time. Oh, I'm actually crying right now. I'm actually crying. I'm sobbing. I'm weeping uncontrollably.
Oh no!
I mean, it wouldn't be a climactic end if I didn't do something like that, right?
Just really need to soak it in.
It's like, Cappy, can you repeat that, please?
I was going a little too fast for your story. You need to finish it, please. And time.
Time on, yeah. Still,
We'll call it
Was
a
that-
309. Close enough.
yeah, I was gonna say.
And I mean, that's Darker Side, and I love Darker Side. I think it's my favorite category in this game because not only do you complete the story in its entirety, but you get to go back and revisit all of the kingdoms, and you just kind of zip through them and get all of the absolute fastest, most fun moons that it has.
Wait, did you break the game?
Did I break the game?
Where'd Mario go?
Oh,
Oh no.
where did
Well,
it
that's
go?
gonna make things a bit challenging.
I mean, I thought I was doing a nipple percent incentive, not.
While we're looking for that man, we got a $5 donation from Nifty Cent that said, $5 train, I would like to watch a rousing game of volleyball. Smile.
I would even do it invisible if we got to that point, but I think we're a little
Oh.
bit short on time, so. But yeah, that's Darker Side. And I suppose that we crushed. We didn't even just like meet. We kind of crushed the incentive for the nipple percent run, didn't we? So,
Yeah,
shall we go ahead and give that a try?
I would say so.
All right.
One thing that I think of with nipple percent as well is it's kind of funny, the whole conversation about language earlier. We already knew that Chinese was faster in nipple percent.
It's true, because we had enough attention span to,
Count
like the 10 text boxes that are in the
count the
category.
first 3 kingdoms of text boxes.
Then we didn't kind of just keep going. Well, that's enough.
All right. So, anybody new to this category, I could probably explain it in less time than it'll actually take to do it. But nipple percent is exactly how it sounds. There's a costume in this game that reveals Mario's nipples, so we're gonna get there as fast as we can. Are you ready on the timer?
That'd be Bash. Let me see. He stopped it, right? So I'm gonna assume he's
Yeah,
ready.
they've got.
Yeah,
It looks like you guys have got me a new timer, so I will
He is
count
ready.
us. I'll count us down. 3, 2, 1, go. Is it against Twitch TOS? Yeah, Mario, you should probably read that before getting in on like a marathon stream. It's kind of inappropriate, to be honest.
Yeah, this game's up there with the what do you call it? Honey Pop.
Oh boy, yep.
Same level.
What's the name of that one where you do like photo shoot with the girls in the bikinis?
Oh, Galgun, I think.
Oh, that wasn't the one I was thinking of. There must be like multiple.
Of course there are.
It has like a very like action-ish movie title type of thing, but there's several of them, and it's like definitely that. It's like very erotic bikini stuff. So the purpose, or like in order to get the nipple costume, you could call it, we need 1,000 coins. So this is a speed run to get 1,000 coins as fast as I possibly can, and just kind of buy them from the shop. Which doesn't really sound that exciting. I think the exciting part comes from, you know, the titillating experience that is this run and its objective. So
Good word choice.
I'm just trying to stay on brand here. This is what the incentive is all about, all right?
This is what the people paid for.
Exactly. So it starts out a little bit different. You see, I'm getting those coins from in behind those crates, little sneaky coins. And no IP skip this time, but we are going to try and do the DSS trick again.
Not once more for the fans.
I mean, maybe at the end. Who knows? Who knows what we got time for? And going up the right side, even though it's slower, we do get coins from it, so.
And one on the railing for good measure.
Yep.
I always love that roll cancel with the coin. It looks very clean.
So something that got added into this game kind of towards the end of the game's patch cycle, I guess, with 1.2 anyways, was something called the Toad Hint Arts. And we saw a couple of them in my run-through of Darker Side. But basically, they released hint arts, kind of like the moon ones that I was looking at in the game. They released them on Twitter for the location of 8-bit Luigis and 8-bit Captain Toads. Luckily, these ones you don't have to go to Twitter to look at in order to find them. That would be kind of obnoxious. But they
Open your smartphone in-game.
Yeah, exactly. Animal Crossing style, exactly.
Yep.
So these guys are just scattered around the world, and if you ground pound the spot that they're located in, you get 200 coins. So we abuse that in this category because we need 1,000 coins.
Speaking of the money that we need, we did get $500. No, we didn't.
Oh.
$5
Oh boy.
from Aiden of Pastaville, still written that way. It takes 1,000 coins. We've gotten 2 $5 donos. Here's a third. Now you only need 985 coins. Easy world record. And then we got 2 $5 donations from TP Speed, both saying, "Gosh heckin' dang, this is a heckin' fun run. Fire truck."
Fire truck. Wow, I'm having a tough time with DSS today. Well then. So I'm actually capturing this guy on purpose so that he doesn't get in my way. I just don't want the marathon to end, you know what I mean? What a long, strange trip it's been.
He just really wants to play volleyball.
Hey, there we go.
No, we can do it.
We can do it. I got time.
Yeah, it's not like I'm going anywhere tomorrow. Not like anyone's going anywhere tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless you're a healthcare worker, in which case, shout out to you.
Oh my god. Yeah, no kidding.
Is where you guys live, I don't know if you live in a city or whatever, but is one of your cities the ones that start cheering for them at a specific time every day?
What?
I know LA proper does, but I live in a suburb about 30 minutes east.
Gotcha. Because that started happening. I live in Calgary in Canada, and that is a thing that they do every day at 7 p.m. Everybody sticks their head out of the apartment windows and cheer and clap for
It's a
the
beautiful
medical
thing.
workers, and it really is something special.
That's wholesome.
Um,
I don't live in a very populated like city area, so
One thing I do have, being in LA County, is the risk of getting a $1,000 fine for being out between 10 p.m. and 5 a.m.
Good stuff.
That's a good one.
Because of this? Or-
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no,
I guess
that
it's
is
to
not a
stop
normal
people
thing.
from,
Yeah.
yeah, I guess it's to stop people from partying at night or something.
It was like there were so many things that were happening and nobody was like taking note of it, so they're like, all right, fine, can't have nice things anymore.
I mean, it is all for the best.
And if it works, it works.
All right, we get a second try at this chest clip too. Let's see. Oh yeah, we good. Let's go.
So proud.
We did get another donation, $10 from JLD. I know it's not much, but yay for Calithon this year. You should all give yourselves a pat on the back and a round of applause for all your wonderful runners and staff. You all did wonderful this year. Also, last donation hype, here's to relief. Thank you so much, Jay.
I'm gonna echo that. That sentiment. Thank you guys at Calithon for putting this on. Not only is it for something that is immediate and quite serious that we were just kind of talking about before, but the fact that it was able to basically be wrangled together within the course of less than a month is really something special. And I'm honored to be a part of it. So thank you guys so much.
Thank
for
you
everything
so
you've
much
done.
for being a part of it. Like, I can't tell you how much that means. It's been incredible, and anyone that submitted is fantastic.
Gaming for a good cause. Who would have thought? You know?
That's not what I hear about gamers on the news. They don't do good things, they do awful things.
Like
Definitely a
reveal-
strong point of the speedrunning community, for sure.
I mean, I'm just about to reveal some Italian plumber's nipples. That's not a very wholesome thing. Let's be real,
No, it's a
but-
service.
It's a service. All right. So we popped into town. We got a coin hint tart. We're gonna come over here. We're gonna get another one. That's not where it is. There we go. Second time's the charm. And then it just so happens that we're out of coin hint tarts, so we got to figure out somewhere else that we can get really fast coins. So we're gonna go and visit our good friend the Sphinx. And his little treasure room has a whole bunch. It has 280 actually, which is basically the perfect amount that we need.
It looks like you're gonna be 4 coins over. Can I get $4 back? Just kidding.
Yeah, I'll just call Direct Relief and say, hey,
No.
we need a refund for $4.
Will this sub? Oh yeah, it will. I was gonna say. I thought all of my DSS fails might have messed that up a little bit, but we're good. Oh, well, maybe it's over now.
Last donation. Did we reach the cutoff on the campaign?
Oh no! Oh gosh, what have I done? Dude, I muscle memory flying the moon.
Wait, did you actually? Oh no. I guess you can do IP skip now. Oh no, you can do ice cave. You can get the ice cave.
I can get the ice cave. It's okay.
You just wanted to play more video games.
It's dramatic suspense. We need to get to
We have more
9,000, you
time.
guys. We need to get to 9,000. I need to play volleyball.
Overestimated nipples.
Uh-oh. I'm over. I can't go over
We've
my
got another
estimate.
chance to get to 9,000, guys.
Why does this ice cave have to be so far away? Oh no.
Hey, 2 coins from the little ring there.
Yeah, I'm building it up. Building it up. We got this.
Don't worry, this time if you accidentally buy the heart, you'll have enough coins to cover it.
No, he'll just have to go to the bullet bill sub area if he needs some more.
enough. Okay. Now, because I'm in the first visit, I can't make that mistake again. It literally won't let me. So that's good. All right, sub 10, right? Can we do it? Can we do it? Yes, time. Time. Just squeaked it in there. I don't know.
They said it couldn't be done.
The sub 10 nipples.
Well, on the bright side, you were very underestimate, apparently.
Oh, that wasn't very simple.
Oh, that was generously changed.
99. Oh gosh, we could have been here a while. Thank goodness for that.
Now, can we zoom in and verify that those are in fact? Yes, they are. Okay,
They are. Okay, good. There they are. In all of their glory, and also Mario's very bouncy nose. Can't discredit that part.
Beautiful.
Well, I mean, that's Super Mario Odyssey. You know, the best and the worst, to say.
What a way to close the show.
Like I've mentioned, I think a couple times in this showcase so far, Super Mario Odyssey has one of like the most welcoming and engaging speedrun communities, and they're so active in making the game what it is, and making it accessible for new players. It shows with such a huge community behind it. So if you're ever interested in learning how to run this game, the resources are out there, very easy to find on speedrun.com. There's a Discord attached to it with like literally tens of thousands of people in it, and and just about anybody who streams this game is standing there with open arms, willing to accept you guys into the community. So be sure to check these runs out if you liked what you saw here. Odyssey has a lot to offer for people who like long runs, short runs, whatever. So definitely check us out. And again, thank you guys so much for hosting this entire marathon. It was a pleasure to be a part of. And thank you also, Curb and Tim,
Incredible.
for joining me on the commentary as well.
Yeah, thank you for answering my questions from me and some people in chat too. I just want to address everybody who gave $1, everyone who volunteered their time, everyone who submitted a run on such short notice. When did we start planning this? 3 weeks ago, I think?
Couldn't have been that
Like 3-ish, yeah. 2 or 3.
I popped in Discord and I was like, hey, we should do a thing. And then here we are. We did a thing. Look at that. Everyone has been so incredibly generous with their time, with their money, which I know it's a lot to ask of people right now to say, hey, donate money, when that's a very hard thing to do right now. And I get that, and it makes it all the more valuable that we've raised $8,591.72 of just incredibly generous, incredibly heartfelt donations. And this is a big thing that's impacting a lot of people. I know there were some people on the volunteer team and on the host team who had, shared some very personal stories that I don't know if were shared earlier, and I'm not going to share them now, but there's been a lot of impact and a lot close to home here.
I know one of ours earlier as well. I had a friend who was in the hospital for COVID-19 as well.
Did Shasta, what's his name ever I'm not going to say his name, but did he ever bring up the thing about his mom?
I don't remember who you're talking about.
It doesn't matter. Somebody's mom was like being in communication with them, saying that she was having trouble breathing, and that's one of the biggest symptoms that is like, yeah, for sure, bud, you got it. And that's a hard thing to be so close to, and we don't. It's hard to look at something like this and have the ability to do something, a little teeny tiny something to help, and to not do it. So I think I speak for everyone on our team, everyone who did a run, everyone who did commentary, everyone who volunteered to mod chat, everyone who donated, everyone who said a single word, everyone who posted a tweet about it, that they're incredible for taking the opportunity to do that little something.
Just thank you so much for doing whatever you can to support what we're doing and just in general raising money for a very, very important and close to home cause for a lot of people.
Like what Steve talked about yesterday, for those who didn't hear the interview with Steve from Direct Relief, it doesn't matter whether we raised a clean 8600
let's go.
from where is it? I can't see it. From
Lingamaniac.
From Lingamaniac, topping this off to a nice round number. Whether it's a clean 8600, it doesn't matter whether it's that or if it's $1 million. It's still supplies that you all bought for doctors and for medical professionals in need. Like, it's someone who works in a hospital and that hospital can't afford to buy things in bulk, and now they have it because you guys paid for it. And that's like, you're saving someone's life. If it's one person or 1,000 people, you're saving someone's life. And that shouldn't be discounted at all. For just saying, oh well, I was just in a Twitch stream and gave $1. You are helping to save someone's life. And that's incredible. And I can't thank you all enough.
Thank you.
I agree. This is completely 100% unprecedented. Like, we've never been in this situation before. And the fact that every single one of us is still just getting together and doing something like this for the benefit of everyone else is just unbelievable. Thank you all.
Just want to say as well too, huge shout outs to Bash for restreaming this whole thing.
Yeah, Bash has been working.
Bash nailed it.
Bash's hardware has been restreaming this entire marathon.
The entire thing, like all 3 days, like 16, 17 hours, the whole thing. He trained me to restream just like you're gonna leave him, and he didn't do that. He didn't use that at all weekend.
He built a whole remote system.
We found a workflow that worked out. Like, thank you, but really, if it weren't for Galen, Signar, Shasta, I am so tired right now.
For everyone,
I was happy to do whatever could take the pressure off.
Everyone else on this team stepped in and to make everyone's lives easier, and I am so unbelievably thankful for that.
Is there anything else anyone else wants to say before we raid?
Just, reiterating what Shasta, Jeff, Bash said. Thank you guys so much for doing this, for being a part of this, and for making this all work. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much in general for just being here. This is a huge undertaking. I know it was only we did this all in like about 2 or 3 weeks, and it was just a giant undertaking for us. And overall, just a big learning experience as well too. And like the amount of time we had for this, we had to make a lot of hard cuts in the games.
I don't want to pat ourselves on the back, but we got more submissions than we've ever gotten, and we had to make a game list in a day.
Yeah,
and that was really hard.
That includes live events too.
It was really hard, but I'm glad we came together for this. Yeah, even for our live events, nuts.
Yeah, this is gonna sound funny, but I actually am serious about this. For everyone to come together in the face of all this and being like, you know what, let's just free them nips. Like, I don't know if that just signifies, our ability to still retain our humanity throughout all this. And I think it's important to still look at everything with a silver lining.
There's nothing more human than boobs, dude. We're good.
I think on that note,
I'm not tired. Definitely not tired at all.
Dangers, thank you so much, and Symphony and Curvis for putting on a hell of a show right at the end. That was fantastic.
That was wonderful. Thank you all.
Hey, cheers. Thank you for having us on again.
Pleasure to be a part of it, guys. Good job.
You guys did an amazing job, honestly.
Hopefully you guys can come down for next year's event when we actually have it in a place. Hopefully.
I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you for further
anything else
ado,
anyone else
though.
wants to say before we do a raid?
Yeah.
Anyone else got words?
Yeah,
Where's the
let's
raid time?
sleep.
All right, let's go do a raid.
See you at Calithon
message.
5, CMM.
Who has a raid message?
I've got it right here.
I have a target. Got it there? Alright. So we're gonna raid Benny, by the way.
We're gonna raid
just
Benny, and we're gonna say the only thing that we can say. We're gonna say hello, Benny.
You posted one more time. Twitch was refresh my page for no reason.
There you go.
I
I
don't
posted
think
like
they see it enough. I think we need to.
Alright.
Someone might have missed it.
everyone get the message ready. Hello, Benny.
That is the
No
raid
CMM,
message.
we're not saying star. Swear to God, I'll ban you. We're not saying star.
Oh my god.
All right.
Goodbye, everybody.
Alright,
Thank
when
you for
everyone's
watching.
ready, on my mark.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for watching. 3, 2, 1. Do it.
Done.
And off we go.